night till.
I was gonna-
I know what they're saying. They come down over my hill and.
Paul, you ready?
Sorry, yep.
Bob?
No, I know what you mean.
Bob, you ready?
All right. You're the chairman.
Call the Selectmen's meeting to order for May 17th, 2021. Until further notice, to attend the meeting remotely via telephone or computer, visit www.alton.newhampshire.gov for detailed instructions on the day of the meeting. The public is not allowed in the meeting room because a public hearing is a stationary requirement for such acceptance. We have an off-site venue available for audio and visual participation. This is available only if you cannot connect from home by telephone or computer and are willing to come out. The location for in-person attendance is the Gilman Museum, 123 Main Street, Alton, New Hampshire. The capacity is no more than 9 people. If it exceeds more than 9 people, the meeting will immediately be adjourned. A mask is required. Social distancing is required. Your temperature will be taken at the door to determine if you may enter the Gilman Museum. If you have any questions, call the Selectmen's office at 603-875-2113 or 603-875-0229. Okay. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can I get an approval of the agenda? No changes. No, I'm just gonna read that.
I'd just like to add one thing if I could.
Yeah, and,
Take long. Old business,
yeah,
fire well bid, police, for the fire department.
fire well?
Yeah, the bid. For the fire department.
Anything else? I get a motion. Second?
Second. Oop. Okay.
Paul?
Yes.
Rob?
Yep.
Ruben?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Agenda is approved. Virgil, yes. Announcements. The town offices will be closed on Monday, May 31st, in observance of Memorial Day. Submission of public comments. Mr. Lauren Carr. Received 5/10/21. Alton Board of Selectmen. Public input, May 10th, 2021. Has the town administrator made the board aware of my April 13th right-to-know request and its possible ramifications? Did she also provide the board with the irrelevant written response given to me 3 weeks plus later on May 6th, which did not answer my questions? Please know that in my request, I never used the word creation. Signed, Lauren Carr, Alton residents. Okay? Did we answer his questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we responded to his right to know law request as allowed under the law. And I gave you packets in the last meeting, and one of them was about this particular issue, which showed the
Yep.
chronology of the documents submitted back and forth and so on and so forth.
But the concern I had, you're talking about this packet here last week?
There were 3, yes, and in it, there were 3 separate issues.
Issues.
Right.
Well, the last issue, I believe it was the last issue, I don't think was addressed properly, Tim. Of course, I can't read a lot of this. When you highlight this, you
makes
have a
it
hard
hard to
time
read.
reading it afterwards, after it's highlighted, the handwriting minutes. But, there was a question of the fire truck capital reserve fund.
Yes.
And I believe originally it was written for a fire truck capital reserve fund, which is what it says in here. Now, I think Mr. Carr's concern was, from what I can read here, is today it's written as fire department equipment capital reserve fund. Now, I think he asked, he called me. I think he wanted to know when that was changed. And I believe if it is changed, it has to be changed by town meeting vote. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, it does.
Yep, okay, that's my idea. Now, I thought we could get a breakdown of a capital reserve fund when anything was ever done with it, when it was originated, any changes that were made. I'm used to a system where they can bring up any capital reserve fund and give you the history of it. I don't know if we can do that here.
Well, Mr. Chairman, can I answer that question?
Yes.
I find it quite strange that Mr. Carr would ask this question after he sat here for a good 9 years and had the same warrant article every time before town meeting when he sat there. So why all of a sudden now, after he's off the board, 3 some odd years later, he's concerned about a warrant article? He had the same warrant article presented to him while he was sitting here as selectman. And to say all of a sudden the selectman's doing something wrong, and that's the way it comes across with all these letters he's given us, it just befuddles me. Well, waste of our time, because he did it himself right here as a selectman. And I'm sure we can get the history of the warrant articles, and I'm sure the town clerk can get those for us.
I'm sure we changed it at delivery session.
The fire truck was the first question I saw was last week. But everything else that he responded to the Board of Selectmen, I believe, has been answered.
Yes,
I think so.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, you're right. It's been answered. And it was answered, the two big issues with Lauren Carr, as far as I'm concerned, have been issued, and the town was wrong, or whatever. And that was Shibley's dock. Town was wrong, or not. Town didn't know who owned it. Never did find out. And, well, we did, after I investigated. I'm not blowing my own horn here. But would that have just been fluffed over? I don't know.
Actually, it was the attorney.
Well, he did it with all the homework I did. I went and got all the deeds. Yeah, and our attorney made that decision, and which I thought was black and white after I got all the deeds. Then the other issue was a deliberative session, and I thought he was 100% right in that. I got the information from the municipal association, spelled it right out in black and white. Basically, our town attorney agreed with that and made his decision the same way. But here we go again. Why couldn't it been answered, yes, in 1988, the Capital Reserve Fund was changed to read equipment and not fire truck?
So 91-A:4, which is the right to know law, does not require the municipalities to conduct the research. You can roll your eyes all you want, and I say that respectfully, but that is the way the law is read. It requires the requester to do their own research, but the town directs them to the proper place where he or she may obtain that research. And this has been going on for decades under the right to know law. And that's exactly what we did here, but we took it a little step further and provided him the original creation of the fund. It wasn't even called the Capital Reserve Fund back in those days, which was the early 60s. So we did provide that on the right to know laptop for him to come in and inspect it, which is also in accordance with 91A-4, if he wants to. I don't know if he's been in yet or not to look at it. We don't conduct the research, the requester conducts the research. We just help guide them to wherever it is they can find the answers to their questions. That's the law. as you,
Okay, I don't argue that,
okay.
if you say that's the law.
Yeah.
And I abide by the law. But I, as a selectman, I don't think I should have to investigate it. I think our management team should investigate it. And I would, at this time, make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we get an answer to this question on this capital reserve fund warrant article. Is it legal, as it is written, as a fire truck? As a fire piece of equipment versus a fire truck, if that was the original?
But you kind of just did the same thing. You're asking to see when it was changed to fire equipment reserve fund.
Yeah.
That's what you asked for, okay.
Yeah.
You said fire truck in both sentences, I thought I heard. I'll second it.
Be nice to have the answer once and for all.
Would you repeat your motion, please?
I move, we find out when the capital reserve fund was changed from purchase of a fire truck to purchase of equipment, fire equipment. Does that make sense? Thank you.
We need to take a vote.
Oh. Paul?
Yes.
Brock?
Yes.
Ruben? Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Virgil, yes. And I'd like to read this too. If you want your comments, or your submissions or public comments on the agenda, we have to receive them Wednesday noontime before the meeting, before the Monday meeting, the Wednesday before. Thank you. Public hearing at 6:12. I am going to open it up to public hearing. Do I need to vote on this?
As chair, you can just open the public hearing.
I will open it up at 6:12 for public hearing for Old Wolfboro Road. We're doing each of these separately.
Yes, you have to by law.
Okay. We will start with Old Wolfboro Road from Main Street to Route 28. This is to cut it down to no trucks, right?
No through truck.
Through trucking.
No through truck.
If they have deliveries on that road, that would be one thing. And it's just that section that we talked about, from Main Street to the top to 28.
28.
Yep.
But if there's deliveries of someone building up there, the trucks can make the delivery.
Right.
All right, and we will open it up to public comment.
You know, hands yet, but it might be good just to say, if you have any comments, use the raise hand.
I only
If
see
you have any comments,
somebody's coming up now.
oh, here we go.
Can't see him though.
Virgil, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You just ask when they speak to announce their name.
When you speak,
Yes, my name is Dave Huzzy. We're talking about Bay Hill Road right now.
No.
no, we are on Old Wolfboro Road from the village store up to the highway.
Okay, and what is your reasoning for doing this?
Well, Mr. Hussey, I guess my reason, I'm in favor of it, because we shouldn't have tractor trailers coming down that hill just to take a shortcut so they don't have to go around the traffic circle.
Well, we
Kids,
can-
children walk up through there. It's a very sharp corner when the selectmen decided to change the intersection of that. That road is very congested now because you got Profile Bank, the village store, and that intersection there. I witnessed myself several tractor trailers going up and down it, not stopping anywhere along the way, just to go up and get on 28 North. With the kids that pass through there on the crosswalks and everything else, it's a dangerous intersection. It's an accident waiting to happen, which I believe the town's had 2 or 3 at that intersection since the town has changed that intersection. But that's my reasoning.
Okay, that's a reason. But 140 isn't a dangerous intersection?
Unfortunately, sir, that is a state-maintained road, not a town road.
Okay. So that means that even a delivery truck like a Wonder Bread truck would have to go down to the bay and turn around and go back down through town, is what you're telling me.
I guess I missed that first part.
They wouldn't be able to come up from the bay and walk.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't take a right to go up to the highway, then you've got to go down to the bay somewhere to turn around and go back down through town.
I think like what he's saying, Ruben, is, like, say you've got a truck coming up from the bay, they can't turn right to get to 28.
Turn left to go to
Turn left to go to 28.
No, they can go down the traffic circle and just head up 28. For half a mile more, you relieve a lot of congestion on that road.
Why don't you
And
just?
I can't believe a half a mile would impede anybody's business or time where safety becomes first.
I think you'd find a lot of truck drivers will disagree with you on that. As far as that goes, then why don't you just say no 18-wheelers? Because I could put a tri-X around that thing without any problem.
Well, sir, I could put an 18-wheeler around there without any problem, but that's not the point. It's more the safety point.
That was the point. That's what you just said, that you couldn't put a 18-wheeler around there because it was taking up too much space. I'm saying.
No, I never said it. You couldn't put an 18-wheeler down there.
Okay, then what are we here for? There's no sense in shutting it down.
There's a lot of sense in shutting it down for safety, and I'm sorry if you can't see that, but I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, me and you.
Okay, I will disagree, but I could say that you could shut it down for 18-wheelers, but not for dump trucks, so that they have to go all the way into especially loaded up, go all the way down into the bay, turn around and come back. You're wrong. They are the ones that are gonna lose are the end users like myself ordering gravel. So I'm just saying, the way around it would be to say no 18-wheelers, no tractor trailers. Pretty simple.
I guess I don't understand why someone would have to go all the way down the bay, turn around, when they could just go to the circle.
Well,
guess I'm losing
they're going
that
the other
concept.
way. What are they going the other way? You got two ways you gotta go.
No,
You either
Main
go
Street
towards
runs east and
Superior,
west.
You go back towards Rochester. You just don't go just one way.
Well, you go to Rochester, you come up 28. You come down 28 and go to the bay. I don't understand your concept.
I don't understand yours. Because if somebody was making a delivery, say at the pizza joint, that means he's got to go down to the bay and turn around. If he's making a pizza, delivery at the pizza joint here, and he's from Laconia, he would have to go down to the circle and turn around.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Delivery person making delivery to the pizza place at Alton Village Pizza heading west on Route 11, he can't make that right turn unless he goes into the opposite lane, turning right in between the insurance building and Jenny Douglas Park. And that corner, you come around, there's a blind corner. And like I said, it's going to be an accident waiting to happen.
Well,
Whether it's 18-wheeler or tri-axle.
like you said, let's agree to disagree, because I do not agree with that.
I've driven truck.
What's that?
Now, if you look back, didn't you create this problem yourself by making that turn?
Hang on. I need your name first.
Oh, my name is Timothy McDonald, 74 Lily Pond Road, Alton, New Hampshire. Didn't you create this problem yourself by making that turn instead of keeping the road straight, going to Route 11? The town made that choice, and they made a dangerous corner. Now you expect the truckers to have a problem with it because of your stupidity.
Mr. Chairman, can I answer that question?
Yes.
One, I didn't create that problem, the town of Alton did, long before I came back to office.
You are
Mr.
the town of
McDonald.
Alton.
Two is, whether it was right or wrong they did it, to find out the reasons why they did it, they must have had good reasons, so I won't call it stupidity. But secondly, a half a mile is not gonna hurt anybody and someone coming off from a dead right turn to go up a hill, when they could just go down around the circle and get their speed back up to climb a hill, is much easier on a truck and a transmission.
Ruben, you have trucks. Why don't you pay the insurance and the gas and tell me that question at the end of the year when you pay your taxes?
I can tell you that, sir, because this is going to affect me just as well. I won't be able to go on there with my 1-ton or gooseneck if I want to
hold
scoot
it.
around town.
You serve hay. Wasn't that a question you asked about my trucks can still go? When the question
No.
was asked at the meeting a while ago?
No, sir, I was considering if I was on my motorcycle going up Bay Hill Road when they wanted to close it to through traffic, or my pickup truck. My pickup truck would be ready to go on those roads, but not with truck and trail.
I took it different. But that road was totally wrong when you changed it. And let's ask one question. Don't we lose federal funding when you change a road to the classes?
As far as I've been told, we do not, sir. And the RSA does not state that we cannot limit weight on roads.
No, not weight, trucks. When you shut down the taxes on a truck, they pay taxes for their registration just like everybody else does. When you shut down that, you lose your federal money.
No, sir.
I will, in saying that, these guys do, and nothing, I understand the safety aspect of it, but these guys do pay a fuel tax, which I don't have to pay. I don't own trucks. I deal with it, but I don't have to pay it. And that's a tax like when you get your highway block grant. Some of that highway block grant money comes from fuel tax that truck drivers pay to get back. It's hard for me to get on board with shutting down a road, and I agree with what you're saying. Safety is
But we're not shutting down a road. We're just shutting down it through traffic.
It's
If you're
not-
working on the road, if you got a septic system, you got to put in someone's lawn on that road. If you're building a house or anything, you can still use that road.
right.
We're not saying you can't. We're just saying the car carriers I see coming down that little spurt, do they belong on that road?
Don't need to be.
The wood chip trailers that are coming down that road, do they need to come down that road? No. They can go a half mile down around the circle, come back into town. And I just,
Ain't that,
I'm a life
wouldn't that be in the category of prejudice towards trucking? Just like it
No.
would be anything else? You're saying, oh, I don't want trucks. Well, now are we gonna go 1 tons or heavy SUVs? I don't want them on my roads? That basically you're doing a stereotype of vehicles on different roads. And this is totally wrong.
well, unfortunately, it's more of a safety factor for me, Mr. McDonald, as I stated to Mr. Hussey.
You know,
It's a difficult road for an 18-wheeler to come down.
if you do that road, what other roads are you gonna do? It starts at 1, you give an inch, you take a mile. That's what I'm asking. How many more roads you gonna do next year?
Well, Tim, Mr. McDonald, the only thing I can tell you is the 3 roads we're talking about tonight had the 6-ton road limits on them all along, except up to 5, or maybe it was 8 years ago, a group of selectmen pushed it through that they took all the limits off, which was unfortunate, because once that happened, we saw the deterioration of our road, and it wasn't to keep our local contractors from using the roads. It was to keep the people that were looking for shortcuts from, like, say, Route 11 to 28, any way they could, that was deteriorating our roads, and also for the safety, because our town roads now, and I'm sure you've noticed, you've lived here most of your life, we're getting densely populated, children are walking these roads, people are out riding bikes on their roads. And this was just one of the things, we had citizens living on these roads coming in and asking us to do this, so we brought it up, that's why it's
We
here.
have for the last 50 years.
Excuse me?
We have for the last 50 years, people have put up with it. And you know what?
But the
Everybody had to make a living. My father owned dump trucks,
True.
your father owned dump trucks. Everybody had to make a living. If you
But-
really want
but
to
I'm saying-
make the roads safe, let's spend the money and do the roads right.
I guess the only thing I'm saying to that is, I'm not asked to do anything different that wasn't done for over 25 years on Bay Hill Road, this part of Old Wolfboro Road, and also Stockbridge Corner Road.
Oh, didn't we rebuild, Bay Hill 3 times in the last couple of years? Because it wasn't done right? Powder Mill Road is falling apart after 10 years. So where are our tax dollars going? And why are these roads being built not to the standards they should be?
Well, they are built. They are built to the standards.
If they are, why are they falling apart? Answer that.
Who is saying that the Old Wolfboro Road, Bay Hill Road, or Stockbridge Corner Road is actually falling apart?
Bay Hill Road, how many times did you repair it in the last couple of years?
Hasn't been touched in about 7 to 8 years.
You just did the water line a couple of years ago.
That's it.
Excuse me, but I've been here all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't worked on Bay Hill. You're gonna lie to me right
Bay
now?
Hill has been, but it's been a few years.
I believe it was.
You redid that
Bay
whole
Hill.
road 5 years ago, and you rebuilt it a year later.
It
Year
wasn't 3
after
years.
it was dug up and repaired, year after it was dug up and repaired again,
Up top, where we had.
Yeah.
3 times.
Right, but it wasn't 2 years ago, or a couple of years ago.
It was
It's
still
been longer than
repaired right after it was
I've
done.
been here the whole time when it's been all rebuilt. I've been on Bay Hill for 22 years.
Yeah, but his point was that it took him 3 times up the Bay Hill Road.
But that's also not the subject at this time. It's also Old Wolfboro Road we're talking about.
Well, like
We
Bay
will
Hill,
get-
hey, you shouldn't have tractor trailers going up and down it. But the
No, it
rest of
shouldn't.
these roads, I'm sorry, people make a living.
All right, I have to adjourn this one,
Recess it.
or recess, Old Wolfboro Road. At 6:25, at 6:26, I have to open up Bay Hill Road,
What you could do,
public hearing discussion,
you could recess that.
and I'm gonna
go back
adjourn
to-
that and go back to Old Wolfboro Road. Or recess,
To finish up on Old Wolfboro Road.
I'm gonna recess Bay Hill Road and go back to Old Wolfboro Road to finish it up. Do we have any more speakers?
Oh, okay. Lauren Carr. Well, first of all, I'm objecting to us being here in the museum instead of up at the town hall with you people. All we hear is the traffic outside. We're watching this little television and trying to hear what you're saying. Most of us can't even hear what you're saying in here. I'm objecting to that. This could be open to the public now. President says we don't even need the masks, but I'll move on to the road issue. From what I've heard from Ruben just said about the swing on the corner of this Old Wolfboro Road, have you people talked to a highway safety engineer before you've made these decisions?
No, we have not.
Pardon me?
No, we have not.
So these are just seat of the pants, arbitrary. I think that may be what we ought to do. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, we've got quite a few complaints on it, and we're looking into it. That's why we're holding the public hearing, to see how the public feels about it.
Well, see, this is what I think probably a lot of people are concerned about. Once you start this arbitrary decision-making, it hurts people's living, as you just heard Mr. McDonald's mention. I'm surprised at this. And I also want to address that swing that Mr. Wentworth talked about. You drive a 10-wheel truck, a lot of roads, when you go off a secondary road onto a main road, you do have to swing out to get around the back wheels, not take out the stop sign.
Right.
I think anybody in here that has driven a truck knows that. And are you also shutting down the motorhomes to go up that road? What is exactly the weight limit of these roads? You said trucks, pickup trucks?
6 ton, right?
Pardon me?
It would be, the 6 ton. 6 ton load limit.
So basically, you're making it shut down our roads.
So a school bus would be banned from that road, right?
No, because they'd be picking up kids.
Anything with a durable wheel truck would not be able to go up that road now, correct?
Depends what the weight is.
Through trucking.
It's for through trucking.
What did he say, food truck?
Through.
Through trucking.
You see,
Against
we
the
can't
food
hear,
truck.
see, we
Stop
can't
food
hear,
truck.
see, we can't hear down here very well.
Okay.
You know,
So
this is poorly thought out. This is poorly thought out, seat of the pants, arbitrary, and now I'm going to say again, as Mr. McDonald said, you're hurting people's livelihoods. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd like to address it again. One, it wasn't by the seat of the pants. The 3 roads we're talking about had a 6-ton road limit on it for as long as I can remember, until some leg shakers in town decided they ought to change it. And I think they changed it just for the good old boys. And if I remember the public hearing that night that was in here, it was all loaded with contractors, stating that we couldn't do it because of state law. This wasn't by the seat of the pants. This has been observation over years, just watching it. And why the selectmen, which I believe Mr. Carr was a part of, watched it for many years being 6-ton road limits. And then then a few years later, said, well, now we ought to take them all off. But that little spur, like Bay Hill Road, whether it's Bay Hill Road or Wolfboro Hill Road, I just can't understand why the outcry is it, because they're not hurting anybody's living. We're still allowing them to work on the road if they're working in those neighborhoods. This is through traffic. I will tell you how many times I've seen a FedEx tractor trailer come down that spur of Bay Hill Road. Or the wood chip trucks go up that little spur because they don't want to go to the circle and come all the way up through. I think it's a lot of times they want to miss the DOT, because if they got stopped, they'd probably be set on the side of the road for an inspection for a while. But if they feel making their living is more important than the safety of some children or pedestrians, well, I guess that's where we got to agree to disagree.
Okay.
yes, sir.
Dave Huzzy again. Bay Hill Road, I think any trucker in his right mind would agree that Bay Hill Road is too dangerous to go down. If the only way you could do it is put a emergency ramp there, and then the trucks would be landing in the middle of the lake. So we all understand Bay Hill Road. That's a no-brainer.
Okay.
I think we all, I went down there when I first came to this town, and I lost 10 pounds just in sweat going down there. So I agree with that 100%, and I don't think there's another guy in here that doesn't agree with that.
Yes,
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, hey, you sit down, I'm not done yet. So anyhow, that's my opinion there. So maybe Mr. Carr has something else to say. As far as this one here, Old Wolfboro Road, there is also a law. If you shut a road down to commercial vehicles, you have to then declassify it down to a class 6. That means no more maintenance can be done on that road. So I don't know if any of you guys checked that out, but that came right from New Hampshire DOT.
Not heard about that.
So,
Maybe the chief could-
yeah, and if you're gonna talk about Stockbridge Corner Road and Coffin Brook Road, you take Scotty Williams, for instance. If I ordered to load a loam over to my house on 28, he can't cut across those 2 roads. He has to come into town around a 90-degree corner here, adding more traffic, heavy traffic to the middle of town. And if it's during race week or anything like that, now I'm going to be paying Scott, instead of $200 for a load of loam, I'm going to be paying him $400 for a load of loam. It's going to take so long to get up. So we have to have ramifications like taxes. You're putting a tax on the end user by sending him in a different way when he can use the road right across. And we built Stockbridge Corner. That was supposed to be done. We rebuilt that. We also rebuilt Coffin Brook, which was supposed to be done properly by town specs. where Bay Hill Road was not done by town specs because you can't have more than an 8% grade on a road. So you can shut down Bay Hill Road. Then you're turning around, and I think what Mr. McDonald was trying, you guys are being racist to the truck drivers. You really are, because you're saying, hey, we'll let everybody else go on that road, but you guys can't. And also, a road is not to be walked on. You're not supposed to walk down a road. You're supposed to walk on a sidewalk. That was told to me by the DOT. Town roads are not to be walked on. If you want, people want to stroll down the roads, they got to give you 5 feet of their land to put a sidewalk in. So you're opening a can of worms here. Thank you.
Do we have any documentation at all saying that trucks are damaging the roads? Do we have anything saying that?
This was never about damaging the roads.
No, damaging the road.
Well, and I'm gonna read this right from the New Hampshire, I mean, this is right from a hard road to travel. It says that a road can be, posted, but it says, while not unreasonably infringing on the efficient movement of unprocessed natural resources, manufactured goods and other commercial products essential to a healthy state economy. It's RSA 231-190. So it's pretty much saying if there's no documented road damage, that you can't restrict it unless it's during mud season, or there's documented road damage, because now you are keeping these people from moving their goods or doing whatever is involved in travel.
In a way, we're not, you gotta disagree, because we're not restricting them from moving their goods. They have plenty of avenues to go and move their goods.
Right.
We're saying on certain roads, these 3 tonight that we're talking about, which were posted for many, many years ago.
For many years, yes.
And they was taken off just recently, 5 to 6 years ago. They were posted, and nobody had a problem with that. Until the group came in and said, oh, we don't like this anymore. I have not seen it. The town attorney looked at this, and we're doing it the right, proper way to RSAs, to limit it to 6 ton or no through traffic. We had to hold a public hearing. We would not lose federal funding. We would not lose state funding. And if I'm wrong, that one, the selectman or the town administrator can speak to that. All right. But people throwing out, I talked to DOT, they're not giving us RSAs.
No, I don't think you're gonna lose your funding.
Hang on, guys, because I gotta back up here.
Excuse me, Tim McDonald?
No, hang on a
Did
minute.
you get that paperwork?
Hang on a minute. Go ahead, Josh. I have people with their hands raised.
Oh, sorry. We can't see that because you guys won't let us in the town hall.
Oh, nobody here. Nobody here raising their hand.
It'd be worse if it was here.
Oh.
No, that's
There
fine.
is.
That's fine.
It's gonna get.
Oh, there is. That's why they make the courts.
Can't.
You need to, do we have their name? We don't.
This is NH Watt,
NH,
NHWAP.
NH what? You need to unmute so we can hear you.
Just hit the unmute button on the left hand corner.
Hit the mute button on the left-hand corner of your screen. No go?
Maybe it's accidental.
All right, let's go to the next.
Next one is FAL.
Hit the mute button. We are clicking into FAL. If you can hear us.
There's somebody.
Oh, that's Maureen.
You
Are
can't.
you clicked on, is your mute clicked on?
Yes, I did.
There you are.
Can hear you now. Good evening. Can we get your name?
Yes, I'm Police Car. Hold on, I think it's,
She's in the cave.
was her name?
Police
Pat,
car.
Lauren's wife.
It keeps muting. I'm sorry. Okay. Police car. Are you getting,
Getting a lot of echo.
Several times.
I know. This isn't working out. Sorry.
Shut one off. To shut one of her sessions off. She's got two running.
Police, maybe you shut one of the sessions off, so it don't echo through?
Oh, just, yeah. the
You have
audio.
audio in two places, that's why it's echoing?
I don't know why that's going. All right. Can you hear me now? I have the iPhone on, so it's, can you hear me now? All right.
Yes.
Police car. All right. I just had two comments, and I know you're speaking about two different roads, but mine was Mr. Chairman and Select Board. A lot of Alton has, I'm just concerned because a lot of Alton has a lot of shortcuts. My road, Dudley Road, I walk on it, is a shortcut road to Gilmanton, and there are several roads around Alton that have shortcuts to Laconia, Rochester, and the like. Is there a procedure? You mentioned that people came up and asked for roads to be restricted to trucks. Is there a procedure then that people can go to the town and address trucks coming up shortcut roads and they're just going to have to go all the way around? Something like, is there a way that because all the roads are deteriorating, you just fix them up. But the shortcut road to Gilmanton down here, is there a procedure that I go to town and ask that trucks be restricted? And I think that's one of the concerns people have, that once you start opening up to just a few people, and I don't know how this ever got to Stockbridge Corner, was that because everybody, or not everyone, but a lot of people walk roads and bike on the roads, on the sides, and they're careful. And we have speed limits of 20, 25 miles an hour, and they go faster than that, and even cars do. But I'm just wondering, number one, what's the procedure that the Board of Selectmen has written down to address members of the public who live on these shortcut roads to have trucks restricted? I'm not in favor of this, but there should be a procedure, since there seems to be people that have gone to the Select Board to have these roads restricted for trucks. And my own opinion is that everyone pays taxes and registers their trucks and cars, and we just have to have speed limits. Some of the roads, like Bay Hill Road and going down that little shortcut one, there's some that are shorter, might be necessary. But for the most part, we have all these shortcut roads. Yes, they're shortcut roads. They're just roads going to the dump. There's several of them. And I'm concerned that if you open it up to one, then you should be opening it up to everyone, and there should be a procedure. And I guess my question is there a procedure to address having trucks or heavy loads come down shortcut roads? They should go all the way around to 140. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, she asked a question.
For procedures.
Hmm?
We don't have procedures for.
Oh, we do. People notify us in writing.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then we talk about it amongst ourselves, and then we're doing what we're doing right now. We're holding a public hearing. and finding out what the public, the total public wants.
Well, this is what I wanted to say. I want to address Mr. McDonald, Mr. Hussey, and Mr. Carr. We are in no way, or at least, and I know this board isn't, and myself, is not talking anything about racism or anything that is discrimination against truck drivers. We need our truck drivers. We need trucks. We need our deliveries. We need things. This is a compromise that we're looking for. This is something we want to discuss with you and the general public, because we have issues, we have concerned taxpayers as well on these roads that we've had complaints from. So this is why we're doing the public session, so that we can get input from you and from other people and try to come up with a decent, reasonable compromise for everyone to get through this town. And some roads are worse than others. We mentioned Bay Hill. I think we're all in agreement with the slope on that and the dangers of that road. But as Mr. Wentworth stated before, we had these roads at one time that were posted as 6 tons, that was removed. So maybe some of these roads have to be reconsidered. And that's why we're here tonight to talk it through and talk it out. Some of it we need to do a little more enforcement on. Some of it we need to discuss and how we can handle our traffic a little bit better. So let's come to an agreement, come to some sort of a understanding of all of us. Thank you.
Okay, we're back to the museum. He said no.
Okay.
Back to the museum. We get your name?
Tim McDonald? Ruben, can you, since you brought it up, it shouldn't be a need-to-know law. I'd like to see the dates that the Stockbridge Corner was year-round on 6 tons, or Bay Hill, or any other town, year-round. I would love to see that paperwork. The other thing is, I request that we do another meeting where the state has dropped all this mask and all this other bull. We should be able to do it in the town hall and talk, so we can hear what you're saying and you can hear what we're saying. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, seeing nobody?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question. Mr. McDonald just asked me a question. He needs to ask that question of the board to provide him with that information, not me.
Well, he's got to put in a right to know, no.
And I think if he goes back to 6 years ago, probably when he sat here in the meeting, he knows they were posted then.
Yeah. That's a right to know request, because I'm not doing
A year-round, 6 months.
his homework.
And Bay Hill was year-round,
Yes,
posted. It's been year-round.
yes.
Old Wolfboro Hill Road, the spur was year-round.
They're currently still listed in the Highland Highway ordinance, because the ordinance was never rewritten or changed when they were lifted.
Oh, see,
So all
you
the
need
roads
to
are
speak.
listed.
So you can tell
out
Mr. McDonald that.
in the ordinance, for everybody's reference.
For Mr. McDonald's answer, if you read the town road ordinances,
No, I did not. I asked you, you brought it up at the meeting. You show the paperwork. Okay?
no,
It's
that's not the
real
way
easy.
this works. Listen, that's not the way this works. I don't do your homework. It is in the town ordinances.
Aren't you an elected official for the town of Alton? Are you not an elected official for the town of Alton to do
Yes, I
the
am.
job to take care of the people of Alton?
I don't do your homework, sir. You come down, look it up yourself.
Not my homework, it's your job.
No, it ain't my job.
What is your job
All right,
then?
anybody else?
Just to disagree with us?
I just explained to you where to go look it up. If you want to go look it up, you look it up or put in a right to know and they'll show
You
you where to
as a
look it up.
selectman just brought it up, saying this was what you had on paperwork. I asked, give me the paperwork.
All right, put it in a right to know request by law.
You'll have it.
You guys ready?
Can I get your name, sir?
Scott Williams. A couple of things. Speaking of safety, truckers probably have a much better safety record than any regular driver, shall we say, because their job is trucking. So I think the safety aspects of this, I would agree with an 18-wheeler. But a straight truck, they can go there and make the corner, and just like a school bus. The school bus is probably one of the worst things because they're so darn long. And so I think the safety aspect of it is kind of thin on that. And yes, Ruben, I understand people come down there and walk across the crosswalk that goes across. But I'd rather see the people stop on Main Street than the crosswalks and blow through them too. So, you know, that's another thing. But I've also a couple other things that besides the safety. I don't know who's ever registered a 10-wheeler on that board there, but it's just not $49.95 and you get your plates. You know, you pay the town one bale of a lot of money. Now, I think you probably would agree to me, your registration revenue is probably second to only property tax. And so that's a large, large source of money for the town. And the next thing I have to say is I heard one of the board members say, all the reconstruction of these roads are done to town specs. And that is emphatically wrong. 100% wrong. You go and see what a developer has to build a road to on the town. And when we rebuild a town, we're lucky if we grind down 6 inches, take any big rocks that the grinder bounces over. And if we're lucky, we'll compact that hole where it comes out. And then you lay asphalt down, you call it, and put new drainage in, do the ditch lines. And now you call the road rebuilt. The road really isn't rebuilt because a road is no better than the bed in which it sits. So be careful of what you're saying that the town's roads are built to specs. I've been on the planning board for over 12 years, and I've argued the point that the town gets away scot-free on rebuilding their roads compared to what the rest of us have to do. I guess I'll just leave it at that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I got one more thing to say. Okay. Dave Huzzy again. And I think it's since 1990, we've been putting, well, I think we started with $500,000 for road reconstruction and maintenance and stuff like that. And so that puts us pretty much to $750,000 a year in revenue supposed to be going in these roads. And then as taxpayers, you're telling us we can't drive these roads. I think that sticks in everybody's craw.
Okay, at this time, I have to open up at 6:54. I have to open up the Stockbridge Corner Road public hearing too. Now we got all three open.
Lauren Carr?
Yes, sir.
If I remember right, seeing the Selectmen's meeting, you read 2 letters from individuals that lived on that road. And that was what started this whole arbitrary shutting down roads issue. So of all the people who are, you know, that use that road, or the truckers, probably 2 people are shutting down this road, and I think it was Mr. LaRochelle, it's hard to see over here, said we have to come to a compromise. You just heard one individual tell you about how much taxes these truckers pay to fix these roads. You know, and I want to go back 1 second. I believe Scott has been on the planning board for a long time. What is the planning board's number for a driveway, the slope that can be on the grade?
A driveway, there is nothing. On a roadway, we cannot exceed.
Mr. Chairman, this is out of order.
So see, that's not an arbitrary number. That's a number that's set. It's not that you 5 people sit there and say, yeah, that sounds good to me. Yep, That's what I'm trying to get at. This is arbitrary. There's nothing worse type of government than an arbitrary government. And that's what you do. You don't have any standards. If you said the Bay Hill Road has got a 15% grade, we're not going to have any roads open to trucks with 15%. That is a standard you're setting. This is not. This is Ruben saying, oh, he can't go around the corner, which is ridiculous because anyone who drove a 10-wheeler knows you have to go into the other aisle sometimes to get around corners. This is arbitrary. This is the worst thing you can do to the town of Alton and the people and the truckers is an arbitrary, what you're doing now, my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like for you to ask a question. Is anybody out there for this public hearing that's in favor of this road closures?
No.
It's a public hearing.
And if you're at home on the computer, if you could raise, so Josh can see it.
We have a lot of people attending remotely.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question for you. This is not a road closure.
No, it's not.
Weight limits.
Road closure. It's not a road closure.
No, it's not.
Weight limits.
No through trucking or 6-ton road limit.
But that's a
We're
load.
not shutting it, we're not shutting it.
Not shutting down.
By
If I could
shutting
put-
the
if I-
road down is through trucking. Sorry,
No,
sorry,
I won't say again, did I interrupt you, Mr. Holt, when you were talking? Then don't
Sorry.
interrupt me.
Sorry, go for it.
The use was used about what the trucks pay for taxes. 10-wheelers, 18-wheelers, triaxles, they do pay a heavy use tax that goes to the state of New Hampshire. Does not come back to the town of Alton. In-state trucks do pay fuel tax, as Mr. Mitchell has said, but I do too down at the fuel pump. They don't pay an IFTA sticker unless they go out of state. That's when you pay fuel taxes in other states when you're running across state lines. But in-state, they pay a fuel tax just like I do for diesel, anybody else who runs those trucks. So it's not a special fuel tax for them except for a heavy use tax, which only goes to the state of New Hampshire, which that money goes to their bridge construction fund. Doesn't come back to the towns. The only money the town gets for the highway block grant comes from fuel taxes at the fuel pump. So the heavy use tax goes right directly to the state pockets. Doesn't come back to us. I understand, I have a business, I pay taxes, I pay insurance, I know the cost of it. But if I have to run around a half a mile, it's not gonna break my bank. Okay, for the safety of it. For one little spur that's no more than 2/10 of a mile. And it's not stopping anybody.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we are shutting down the roads to through truck traffic. That's what we're asking to do.
Over 6-ton.
Through truck traffic over
Over
6
6
ton.
ton.
Right. We are shutting the road down for those truckers.
Yes. Okay. Anybody else would like to speak before I close the public hearing?
Yes.
State your name. Go ahead, sir.
We got 7 people here against it. You got 5 selectmen that are elected to speak for the people. And the people have showed up here with their opinion. Now, Ruben, if you go around that traffic circle 100 times over the summer delivering your hay, how much gas is that? You're talking one time. I'm talking every time you deliver a bale of hay. 100 times. That costs you more gas, don't it? So that jumps the price of what you're thinking about. So you're not ignorant. We are not stupid people. Please don't treat us that way.
I'm not trying to treat you that way, sir, but it's the cost of doing business, just like anything else.
I should probably use more gas on that short hill than you were going around.
Dave Huzzy here again.
Oh, yes, sir.
I just want to make it clarify, when we do pay a tax to Alton, yes, but we pay a tax to state, just like any car you guys go in with, there is money that goes to the state and money that goes to the town. And when you register a truck, how much goes to the state, Scotty? I mean, the town,
I was gonna say the plates are a couple $100.
couple $100.
And then the other 800 goes to the town.
Yeah, and then 800 goes to the town. So you're wrong there. You're 100% wrong.
Okay, heavy use tax.
You have one? All right, what's the name on it? Oh, here she is. Yes. Police?
She's muted.
You're muted, I think. I think you're
I'm
muted.
sorry. Yes,
There
I'm
you are.
sorry. Police car. I'm sorry. I just wanted to voice my concern about the last road. And that is, I'm very concerned about Stockbridge Corner Road being restricted to any kind of vehicles. And I didn't hear, I attended this meeting hoping to hear from people who wanted the restrictions. If they had a written request and the reasons why they wanted that specific road. I go down on a truck, but I'm very careful of the speed limits, and I would assume others would be too. Town roads are narrow, just like 28 on the state highway is narrow. I was concerned when we used to have to drive down there when the children were running. And so you have to take care. So I just wanted the selectmen to know that once you open it up, say that the reason being that people are, I don't know what the reason was, especially Stockbridge Corner. Perhaps the other two, fine. I'm not sure about that, but I am concerned, and I hope the selectmen think about this a little bit more and have a little bit more data as far as restricting any kind of vehicles going down those longer shortcut roads. Even though it's a shortcut, it's still a throughway, and people buy houses and buy land. They know, this is country roads. Anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Josh, anybody else? All right, seeing nobody, I will close the public hearing at 7:03. All three. Now for the board. Board's wishes on.
Mr. Chairman? I'd like to make a motion, we table this
Till a later date.
till next meeting possibly.
I don't have a problem with it.
Oh,
I would like to take the input.
No, I'd like the input, and and that's why I was asking publicly to make a compromise. Because some of these roads are obviously worse than others.
right, absolutely.
I mean, there's definitely still, and we're just pushing it off and pushing it off. I have a very big concern with Bay Hill. So it's a 20% slope, and the signs were taken down. So now all we have is 6-ton limit signs on it. We still have trucks coming up and down. It's even more so now. I've personally witnessed an 18-wheeler loaded with 20 trusses going up Bay Hill, extra wide load, barely made it at the base to round the corner, up the hill, went all the way up, took up the whole road going all the way up Bay Hill. I took his plate number down and a truck number down. And I didn't do anything with it. We were sitting down, we were going to be discussing this. But Bay Hill Road needs to be addressed for a lot of reasons.
Chairman, I don't believe Bay Hill Road was an issue here tonight. I think the people who are in opposition.
I agree.
I think they all stated basically Bay Hill Road.
I agree.
Okay, so that's not the issue. The other issue, in my opinion, is the other two roads. We have to make a decision. Now, we just heard a lot of input against this, doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard any input other than a couple of letters, a while back, to do it. Now, the idea of the public hearing is to get the public input.
Correct.
Evidently, the public out there is not interested in doing this.
The other thing I may say is that we didn't get input of what they would like to do.
Well,
They're against shutting down a road, which we're not shutting down a road. We're putting a weight limit on it.
yes, but that shuts it down to the weight limit.
Right. It is, to a degree, but at the
Say
same.
we're not shutting the road down. We are. We're not shutting it down to all traffic. We're shutting it down weight limit.
All right, Brock?
I would, and this is just myself talking, I would like to table this until this meeting can be held in this room, and we can have both sides of this fence in here saying, yes, we are for it, or yes, we're against it. Because you're not getting half the people that are gonna say anything, because half the people don't wanna sit on Zoom and talk about it, they'd rather be sitting here.
Of course.
So why don't we table this till this is,
Still trying to get on.
why don't we, and people are having a hard time getting through it. Let's have people sitting in here so we can hear what both sides of the fence says. You know, that's,
No, there's definitely issue. I'd like to hear more input.
yes.
I'd like to hear more input. I'd like to hear more of their input than just against it. What can we do to make it better for
To make it
everyone?
work.
They are taxpayers, they pay a truck tax, and we have concerned taxpayers that live on these
I'd
roads.
also like to hear from our Public Works Director and see what he thinks and what his solution would be to
And our
alleviate
police
the problem.
department.
So are you gonna make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to.
How do you want
Oops,
to
I
separate
apologize.
out Bay Hill and make a motion? We'll carry the other two and put a weight.
Well, I don't know if we can. I'd like to break out Bay Hill, but I don't know if that's
You
fair.
had three
I mean,
separate, you had three
But
separate.
if point of order, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Holt said there was one person in there out of three that was against Bay Hill Road, 2 for. So you're basing a decision on 3 people, Bob.
Right.
2 people. I'd say table all 3 roads, put it back out there. There's more public notification when you have it here, so those folks that are out there living on those roads can get in here and do the same thing.
Let's get everybody in here.
Let's get the people in the room.
Is that the board's wishes?
Yeah,
No,
but
You don't want to table it?
I don't mind tabling it, but I want it, when we open up, our
Open
meeting
here.
back to the public,
that's what we're saying.
That's,
We agree with that.
so the public can come to
Robert's
a
gonna make a
public hearing.
motion.
When we can get this
Okay, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to move the meeting until we can have public input in the meeting itself.
In-person attendance.
In-person attendance in the meeting.
second.
I'll second that.
All right, Bob,
Discussion, sir.
discussion.
I still say it should be another public hearing, not public input. Public input's not the
Well,
place.
that's, we're gonna have it, that's.
You need to have a public hearing.
Yes, I apologize. That was my.
Public hearing.
Public hearing, yes.
Public hearing.
You said
I'm sorry, that was my.
I understood it as being a public
I
hearing.
Put it as public hearing.
Yes, and that's my fault.
Good catch, good catch.
Yep.
So public hearing is
A
what
public
everybody-
hearing.
Yes,
yes,
When we can
yes.
open up.
Yes.
Okay, once we're open.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Bob,
Yes.
Ruben,
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Virgil, yes. Emergency management update. Finally.
Hey, we might be able to have the public hearing next week.
Not quite next week, but pretty close.
It should be put off for 30 days.
You do have to get notice out though for that.
Yes.
Yep, yep.
But anyways, back to to emergency management update. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in and update you folks on current situations. So the last time we talked, I think most of you are aware we had survived this pandemic unscathed for a little while when it came to public employees the municipal employees and being able to keep our essential services running. As you know, going into later in March, we had an outbreak within town hall that forced us to close down hall for a while. We had several people that had to quarantine, but also people that were sick and actually tested positive, closing down our services. The reason I bring this up is we hadn't had a chance to talk about it, just to give you a little bit of background going into our future plans. What the team has been considering, things that, and again, I'm doing this for the benefit of the public too, because like you folks, I hear it every day when I come out into town too. And most people know that I'm the emergency management director, so I do hear about it out in town as well. And, some individuals just don't understand the things that are going on behind the scenes that we have to consider, not just, oh, the governor lifted the order, the governor lifted this order, we can open things up. Shortly after the town hall incident, we had another outbreak in my agency as well. We had to quarantine some individuals were positive, and we had to assess that. This is back-to-back coming from town hall. This stalled our forward progression. You saw, I'm sure, from the policies and procedures that were going out, that we had started to move in a positive direction, and then things sort of stalled. Mm-hmm. These are the reasons why things stalled, because of our essential services at that point in time. We weren't sure where we were going to end up. People needed to come back to work. As it is, I will tell you that we had an employee that ended up in ICU and still hasn't returned to work yet. I tell you this because, like I said, to the general public, there's things behind the scenes that EMT is taken into consideration, and our progress has to be measured by this, by these issues that we're dealing with and that are coming to us. And obviously, we can't share all the details with the general public for privacy reasons. With that said, we are back now for the majority. Most town hall is up and running. Things are going in a positive direction again. Since then, we've sat down and we've had, our weekly meetings, and EMT has discussed. So our plan moving forward, we have a couple of things that I want to discuss with you tonight. One is, obviously, the big question is the reopening of town hall or the town buildings, meetings, things like that.
Yeah.
So our plan right now has us opening everything back up on June 1st. After the Memorial Day weekend. The reason for I've been asked this question already, how about not tomorrow? Why can't we open tomorrow? That's going to be the question that most people ask. Right. Well, we've been operating in a certain manner for the last year and a half. We have resources that are not, we have to build back up. I had to contact Kelly. Kelly had to get cleaning supplies for the town buildings. We had to talk about what we had for schedules, personnel being out, resources, materials, stuff that we needed to gather. All the department heads and the different departments need to be on board, need to be prepared, so that when we do reopen, it's not a stagger, that one part of the town opens and the other parts don't open. And then it's confusing for the employees, but it's also confusing for the townspeople. Okay, town halls are open, but I can't go down to the senior center. I can't go down here. So our plan is an opening, a planned opening for June 1st. Of all the town buildings. And like I said, I've already been in direct contact with Kelly at Parks and Rec to make the preparations for the other public buildings, for this building, to make sure that we have proper supplies and cleaning that can take place between the meetings and also here. The other concern that we had about the reopening is with just a hard, fast reopening and canceling all the protocols in place, we lose the greeter position, which we knew was always an intention down the road. The issue is we can't really backtrack from that. If we do have, we reopen in a week and we have another exposure that takes 5 or 6 employees out of essential services, we're left with less of a resource. So the proposal is that we're going to reopen on June 1st. We're going to lift the mask mandate, make them recommended, but not mandatory. Keep the front door greeter on, not to take temperatures and protocols anymore, but to keep them there to basically organize traffic in and out of the building to the right department, to prevent any unnecessary lingering and blowing in between the offices, and keep people from the second floor during the day, just roaming around. And our plan is to do that until July 1st. And on July 1st, we remove it. If everything goes as planned, we don't suffer any setbacks based off of this, severe setbacks, then we go ahead and remove the position at that point in time and move on with things as planned, as we're continuing with. Also along the lines with our plans, and to talk to you about tonight, is EMT's recommendation for fireworks on 4th of July is that we cancel 4th of July fireworks with the intent to do Old Home Day fireworks. And our reasoning for that, that's a recommendation, okay, from EMT. And the reason for that mainly is the fact that, every year, barring any other events of the pandemic, fireworks is one of our biggest gatherings in the community. A lot of surrounding communities have already canceled theirs. So that's going to make us the one community in the area that's going to have anything, should we have it. We do not have the resources to control that big of a crowd. We don't. On any given normal year, it takes my entire staff, it takes the fire department staff to be able to man that crowd. You add any other contingencies into that and more, we're not going to be able to manage it. Not right out of the gate. So our plan was to cancel 4th of July fireworks with the intent to keep the Atlas scheduled for Old Home Day and make Old Home Day fireworks and our Old Home Weekend events sort of our, I don't know what lack of a better way to call it, but
big bang.
But really it gives us the time that we need with the reopening of Town Hall and seeing where things go from that before we end up with this mass gathering in town right at the peak of the summer. It's going to be hard to manage. I don't think we can manage it. And this is coming from, obviously, the whole EMT. We all talked about it. Also, you've got the 2 department heads for public safety, both the fire chief and myself are looking at each other going, we really don't have the resources to do this. And I know the town's not gonna want us to hire out for it.
What's the difference between any normal Fourth of July, right?
Like I said, yeah,
30,000 people.
yeah, a normal Fourth of July, you're right. A normal Fourth of July, it takes my entire staff, mandatory. It's a mandatory, function for my entire staff. That's full-time and part-time officers. And we manage it. We do it, so does fire departments. Fire departments got engines down there, and then right from the closure of the fireworks, we're bouncing from call to call between private homeowners shooting off fireworks and catching boats on fire to accidents to everything you can imagine. Our concern is based on what we're dealing with for information right now. It's setting up to be much larger than a normal Fourth of July. That's our concern, because there's no going back. I know it's a judgment call,
Right.
because there is no going back. Once we're in it, and we're there, there's no way I can call for more people to come in.
You lose control, you lose control.
Right. And that's my real concern, because, we can't control the crowd, but we're also definitely not gonna be able to control the parking. And you know how well on a normal Fourth of July, how that bay locks up.
Yeah, big time.
We're just really not gonna be effective in it. But that's our recommendation to the board. I figured that would be, obviously, we all figured that we needed to talk to the board before we went public with that, to get some feedback and some conversation.
What are the towns that canceled, Chief? Gilman didn't cancel?
I know Wolfboro did. I'm not.
Wolfboro did?
Remember whether, yes, but I can't remember whether Gilman did.
On my
I think Guilford, the other one was Guilford, I think, yes, too. But I do know for a fact, I will say that I got information on Wolfboro.
Okay.
So,
Oh, and we will be inundated with it, more so than what we normally happen in the past anyways.
Anyhow.
With what's going on, because Mount Major is inundated again.
Oh, yeah, it's already picking up on the weekends. It's already, and school isn't even out.
All of them.
I have no problem with you waiting off till Old Home Week. Myself, will there at least be a band concert in the Bay over the 4th weekend?
well, yes, we have already approved all that stuff for Kelly anyways, her weekend concerts, because she was able to do that at the tail end of last summer, and it worked out well. They were able to manage it, everything, all that stuff is manageable. Of course, we'll be addressing, you guys conditionally approved, Castleberry Fair for the summer events. And Terry Mullins has already reached out to me directly, to ask about guidelines and stuff. And really, the guidelines have subsided now with the release of the governor's orders. And there'll just be some recommendations for them, but they'll be holding their functions as well this summer. So we do have plenty of things that are opening up and are happening. It's just 4th of July fireworks is one of the largest things, and we just are not ready to be able to manage something like that right now. But we should, barring any catastrophe, I want to say we should be definitely ready for next year, because God only knows what's going to happen. But right now, everything looks positive, and I'm sure the intent for the state and locally for us is to move in a progressive motion, forward motion, so that everything is open. And our plan is, like I said, on June 1st, everything's going to open. I've already talked to Kelly about the senior center as well. And we've talked about, some of the conversations with different groups that use these buildings on a regular basis to elicit a little bit of help with cleaning flat surfaces and stuff like that after use.
Jim?
Yes.
The vaccinations, right?
Yes.
What's the percentage of people in New Hampshire that have been vaccinated?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Last time I came up, I had to actually give you an update, and I apologize. I can pull it off the state website, I just don't have it with me. But I will tell you that, that number it's a little greater than 50%, but I want to say it was only in 3. I thought it was up close to 60, but I could be wrong too. I thought it was just over half, 50%.
So my issue is, you're talking about this cleaning procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. We never had a high-end cleaning procedure before, after a meeting before. Till this pandemic, right?
Right.
Well, now, you're saying 50 to 60%. I believe that figure's good. Because you hear all kinds of stuff on TV,
Right.
so you gotta be careful. But, so that means the people that come into these meetings
35.
are vaccinated, they're not gonna get the virus if, why do we have to do this massive cleaning?
And don't get me, don't take this the wrong way, because it's not a massive clean. Right now, what they're doing is they're doing the fogging with the gun, and they're cleaning flat surfaces, doorknobs, things like that. We have learned that when this thing started, touch transfer was considered a very high risk. Now, since time has moved on, they've studied the virus a lot closer. It's not as high a risk. You're more likely to get it in a crowd. It's the social distancing with the spitting than you are from touch transfer. Though touch transfer can happen, it can occur. It's just it's just being more diligent about our cleaning and more regular about it. But we're not pouring into, it's not as if we're hiring a serve pro out to come in and douse an entire building after a meeting. We're just trying to wipe down the bulk of, tabletops, doorknobs, just key areas, and provide hand sanitizer in key areas as well, because, not everybody, the people that aren't vaccinated at this point are making a conscious choice not to be vaccinated. We know that. We understand that. We talk about it in our emergency management meetings. Those people are making a conscious choice. Whatever happens at that point in time is on them. But you do have to remember there are a certain part of the population, like young kids, that can't get it. I know they're going down to 12 now, but still, you got a lot of kids in this community that are under the age of 12 that can still contract the virus. There's not a time that a lot of parents don't come in with a small child or something to register a vehicle or to pay their taxes or do something along those lines. We have to be a little cautious. What we're proposing is not throwing caution to the wind. We want to, we want to move forward, we want to move in a positive direction, and we want to do it efficiently. But we just are just saying that we don't want to just throw everything to the wind, because there is a real possibility that we could still suffer another setback with it being passed on amongst people. So, with that said, like I said, we have the opening. June 1st is the plan for the whole reopening of the town. Mask mandate will be lifted. They will be recommended still at the front door, but nobody will be mandated to wear one. We won't be necessary to do the questions walking in the door or the temperature anymore. We are going to open meetings up to the public. We are going to, at this point, keep the seats spaced instead of packing them all in like we had before, set up, because we never needed that many chairs in the past. Not to say we won't get it once in a while, but, the chairs are here, they can be pulled down, but we don't want to promote that right now by having people sit in big crowds by putting all those chairs on top of each other. Keeping a little bit of space, and, for most meetings, I would say 99% of the meetings in this building, that's usually enough chairs. But again, that's not preventing anybody from taking a chair down in the back and putting an extra chair up, or anything like that. We're just trying to still promote the distancing because of the people that chose not to get vaccinated and may not choose to wear a mask at that point in time, creating a little bit of, giving everybody a little bit of respect, let's put it that way, because some people feel a certain way, other people feel, and we're catering to the entire community, not just one side of that argument. The other thing that we're going to continue to do as we move forward, even with the reopening, is still offer Zoom on meetings. And again, that's to cater to the whole community. There's still a large majority, I won't say majority, but there's a large number of people in this community that still don't want to go into a public venue, still don't want to be surrounded by people that aren't wearing a mask. So we need to give them that option too. So we want to split that to open it up and also keep Zoom going, so people that don't want to come out can still participate one way or another. So I think as far as the opening goes,
I was just gonna make a motion to go with the chief's recommendations and the emergency management recommendations on the opening and whatnot.
It's only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you feel totally comfortable with Old Home Week that being different than the 4th of July, not being as many people, you're thinking, and being much more manageable?
Right. Historically, I don't even usually run my whole staff on Old Home Weekend. That's usually when people need time off or they're going with their families. I cut my staff back down on a normal week. We won't probably do that this year. We'll probably keep full staff just because we don't know what we're going to entail. But the baseline is much smaller in comparison, much smaller. I'm not just saying a quarter. It's probably less than half of what we see on 4th of July.
Are we going to have to bring another badge? Where we got firework money from last year and firework money from this year?
What, have them do two displays?
Go big.
That is out of the emergency management's purview. That will be the Board of Selectmen.
That'd be one hell of a show. It'd be one hell of a show.
It's quite a fireworks show.
Only last question is, like you mentioned, the chairs in the back and everything, so obviously you'll be taking the signs and the tape off all those chairs in the back.
Yes.
If they do need to take one out, they
Right.
can.
If we do need to take them out. We don't have to adjourn a meeting like we did, like the policy would be in the past, because the gathering numbers have all been suspended or discontinued in the emergency orders about large groups. So, all we're doing is trying to promote a little bit of cautious,
Yep.
behavior, social distancing and things of that nature as much as we can, just to maintain, so that we don't have any setbacks. Really is what it is. We don't want to get rolling, everybody get excited, and then all of a sudden suffer a big setback. So.
Right. Understood.
Well, we're all set.
Yep.
Yeah, I make the motion.
Yeah, I'll second.
Well, do we vote on this? I've never recalled.
We haven't really, just a general consensus.
The emergency management team is basically in charge of the town reference, the emergency, the state of emergency.
But I'll always welcome the board's support, show support, so.
We've always given it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do a consensus, or if you feel it's not necessary, that's fine, but what I would like you to do is take a motion on the fireworks for 4th of July. A motion
3 badges.
to.
Second.
Cancel?
Yeah,
Okay,
to get that on the record, because Atlas is waiting for us. We have to call them tomorrow and let them know. If they don't hear from us tomorrow, they're gonna fill it, so it'll be out anyway, so. They're gonna fill it with another place.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to suspend the 4th of July fireworks display for 2021 per emergency management recommendations.
I'll second that.
And then vote on Old Home Week.
Yeah,
Yep,
That
I'm okay with
that's
that.
a different,
request, but that's your
As of now.
Might as well build them
As of
right
right
now.
now.
Old Home Week will have a glory.
ball game.
Either that or the pay will be.
Send it home, I guess.
All right, Paul.
yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Ruben. Bob. Yes. Virgil, yes.
And that was to put the money for the July 4th fireworks.
Into the,
Okay.
Well, Madam, Mr. Chairman, there was money left over, we left in the fund last year with the Atlas from the 4th of July, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
One of the.
15,000
That's what I
Yeah.
say.
Plus
This year's
15.
money is another 15 or 17,000.
plus Old Home Week money.
Plus Old Home Week.
That would be the biggest display probably in the state of New Hampshire.
Perfect, yeah, it would,
Badges.
Well, the only thing I would
Deserve it.
hesitant on that, Virgil, because just in case with all them fireworks go up, they go up to some of the boats, and then we end up having liability problems like we've had in the past.
And also think about maybe other emergencies that may come up during the year that the funds could be used for instead, or not, then it goes into fund balance.
You ain't gonna spend it all.
no, we don't.
That's up to Atlas. It's up to Atlas. Tell them we want a good display, that's all.
Tell them what?
We want a good
Just want a
display.
good display.
I mean,
If I may,
It's up to
Mr. Chairman, just a suggestion, maybe when you reach out to cancel 4th of July fireworks, we ask Atlas that maybe we want a little bit bigger of a display for Old Home Week and see what the recommendation is. And then you come back to the board for that one. Just that's my recommendation, then that way you have a little bit of professional input, because as Ruben had stated, I just
Quite a-
don't want to see
quite
the
a
whole
band
place light up
Right.
and fires start breaking out or people have lives together. That was just a suggestion.
you might want to move
No,
out to the broads.
Yeah,
Be the talk for a while.
yeah, it would.
Okay, so we have 5 yeses on that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, next is the police proposal for portable or mobile radios.
First one is the
EMT.
the Jesus Valley
Oh.
issue.
Oh, yes, Jesus Valley. Okay.
So as you know, one of the big concerns for emergency management was, had to deal with parking and congestion issues surrounding outdoor hiking. It's been a huge pastime. It always has been a huge pastime, but it's even more so during the pandemic. It's caused a lot of congestion and parking issues throughout our town. One of the issues, was Jesus Valley Road. We had originally come back to the board and asked for some no parking signs along Jesus Valley by the trailhead. And that was successful somewhat, with parking issues. Since then, what has happened is the private landowner at the end of Jesus Valley Road has closed down their property completely. What?
I can't blame them.
Yeah. They've had a lot of issues. They've called the police department's responded to deal with issues, people on the property, people being more so
Disrespectful. Yeah.
to the property owner. And this was somebody going after his dog on his own property. And it just goes on. So they made the decision to close their property. And what that has done, and I talked to Russ Fowler via email, and he was nice enough to give me the trail map and sort of talk me through exactly what this means for the trail system. Is that he had presented me with the map showing that in order to get to Mount Major, they have to access that landowner's property to go to that direction. The trailhead is still open, but you can only go to the opposite direction, which is towards Alt Mountain Road and the Blueberry Pasture Trail and straight back and stuff in that direction. But you can't get to Mount Major from Jesus Valley with that property closed and posted. And what we've been finding over time, since this has been closed, the hiking forums and a lot of information you get online, and even this trail map references Jesus Valley as a Mount Major trail access. So because it's sort of a chain reaction, because of the parking and the no parking issues by the guardrail on Route 11 at the trailhead, it's been sending directions and the forums are sending people to Jesus Valley Road as if it's a trailhead. And we've run into this because people from not familiar with the area be driving up on a private property down there and in the driveway walking around looking to get to Mount Major. It's pretty obvious that there's a lot of confusion and people are still going down there to access Mount Major. The only way we could think of as a team, the emergency management team, to try to address this and prevent it from being an every weekend occasion during the warm weather is to put a Mount Major trail access closed sign at the end of the road. So people aren't driving, because really when you get down there, the only way you can really turn around is you have a small car. You're going to go on private property. What's that?
Sign that's there now.
So what we did in the interim, just to see how it worked, is I took the emergency management sign we got off the message board, and I put it at the end of Jesus Valley Road, and it says, Mount Major Trail access closed.
Right.
Proceed to trailhead with an arrow heading westbound.
Right.
And we didn't have any calls. Now, that's not to say there wasn't any problems. We just never got called for anything. But we didn't see any issues over the last few weeks. We had. But the recommendation was, I've talked to the landowner personally myself, and I know he's talked to other, I think he's talked to Liz as well and stuff about it. They have no intent of opening it back up. It's closed. Yeah. So with that said, our recommendation was a permanent sign that just says Mount Major Trail Access Closed. I think in my memo, you guys can see, this was just a recommendation. We don't really, if the wording's not good or whatnot, but if you'll see, there's actually, on the road sign out there right now, there's a wooden sign that somebody routed. It says Mount Major or Trail Access Closed or something along those lines.
That's the one I see.
And there's a little wooden one. A homeowner put that out there and they attached it to the sign, trying to get people from pulling into their driveway. Either they go to the private property down the end of the road and turn around, they turn into somebody's driveway. And it's constant all day for these people. So our thought was or recommendation was to replace that homemade sign with an actual metal permanent sign. It says Mount Major Trail Access Closed. Official trailhead, had it measured out by one of the cruisers, 1.7 miles west.
Are we having the Forest Society and Conservation put it right on the phone or the maps, whatever they're looking up, saying this is closed? So when they
yes, I'll let Russ Wilder know as far as I don't know, whether it will go
Forest Society out there, right, Gene? That's Forest Society out there in the back, up at Jesus Valley.
Back at Jesus Valley, no, I think that's NRCP.
Well, that's
I think that's what he's talking about.
No, yeah, but once there's an approval on the signage and stuff, I will put that out to them. I don't know exactly what, like, because a lot of this stuff has already been produced and is out, for distribution, a lot of their signs and stuff, so, I mean, it would probably be the next batch of trail maps that go out that they close that.
Make a motion that we allow the chief to put a sign at the end of Jesus Valley Road, and that the trailhead is closed.
I'll second it.
Bob?
Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Virgil, yes. All right, next is the portable radios.
Yes. So, as you know, last year we put a warrant article together for the town, to purchase, new portable radios to replace, not all, we had some that were current, but we had a vast number of our portables and base units that are now, unsupported by Motorola. They don't make parts or support the software in them anymore. So we were working on borrowed time, trying to replace one a year, when we have, over 27 radios. That takes a while to back up. So the warrant article was approved at town meeting, so I'm coming back to you folks to ask to go ahead and make the purchase. What you see in front of you from Motorola is a quote with a breakdown of all the radios. These are not for every car, like I said, it's only the ones that are they're called Astros, that Motorola Astros that are out of service and aren't supported anymore. Same thing, there's some Motorola XT mobile radios too that will take 2 generations of our radios out, because we're operating 3 generations back. From the initial interoperability grants that came out, that's when our radios were purchased at that point in time. So I bring you this quote without the traditional 3 quotes. As you know, Motorola actually is part of the state bid process, and this is state bid pricing awarded for the radio systems. So there's no way to get a competitive quote from another, because they have the state bid for it, similar to our cruisers. And the warrant article was for $75,000. So as you can see, our numbers stayed right where they were originally quoted out at.
Is the installation free?
Yeah, it's included, everything,
Yeah, included.
installation
Okay.
included, and the programming.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, it didn't really kind of highlight that.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Now, who's the vendor? Motorola themselves?
It's two-way, right?
Two-way is the vendor, but Motorola manufacture direct. So they, but Two-way is their local installer. But if you look, just to answer on the 4th page. Of the
Yeah, Motorola.
Yeah.
6 and 7, line 6 and 7 on the 4th page, has device programming and device installation.
So you mentioned this is state bid pricing.
Yep.
$22.50 to spare, sir.
Yeah, they were good to us.
Did you want a new antenna or something to go?
As it was, I mean, we wanted to make sure that the program, everything was included into it.
I just bought radios for the trucks and it's very expensive.
Delete UHF band, $584 of whack. The UHF. They get you coming and going.
Well, everything's going over to digital now, so it's,
That's about it.
Yeah, but you would think they'd make the radio without, I mean, nobody uses the UHF anymore anyways.
Not much.
But, just to highlight the fact that we've done well and survived, with our radio communication for, well, I would say at least 15 years.
Been on some bad years with those.
15 to 16, so this is not like this isn't gonna be a every 3-year purchase. This is,
right.
No,
This is
no.
something that will take us well into the next 10.
And this
12
was-
years.
15.
This was the
maybe
warrant
not.
article, so the voters,
That's right, they already voted on it.
they voted on
Yes,
it.
yes.
We've been on bad time with our radios.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second it.
I'll make a motion to, approve the chief to, go ahead and purchase the portable and mobile radios for the sum of $74,977.50.
I'll second.
Okay. Paul?
I'm sorry, yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Virgil, yes.
Who seconded that?
Brock did.
Okay,
Paul made the motion, Brock seconded it.
thank you.
All right, next is traffic safety devices for the police department.
You can tell I put everything on one agenda.
Yeah.
Knew it was coming.
Be efficient, right?
Glad to have it all in.
That's good.
So again, this is the same scenario. This was a warrant article that was put in front of the, Public for $100,650 for, crosswalk indication devices and driver feedback sign. So what this is, this started out, just to recap real quickly, we got a donation of a set of crosswalk rapid flashing beacons from, two residents in town, and a driver notification sign, which for those of you who don't, if everybody know what that is, it's a speed sign that says your speed is and it flashes. Guilford's got one on Route 11 by their school. We would have, this one that we already have is going to be going on the speed limit change on the Back Bay Bridge.
Yes.
DOT requires it has to be at a speed limit change, so it has to, it can't just be
Right,
posted
okay.
in the middle of it, so
That's a
it's gonna go.
pretty good spot to put it anyway.
So we're gonna get people coming into the bay with a warning. And this new proposal will have a secondary device that's at the 30-mile-an-hour sign coming out of the traffic circle. So you got coming into the village and you got coming into the bay on both directions, which would indicate to people that you need to slow down.
Now, is it gonna show a speed or is it gonna say slow down?
It's gonna say your speed, and it's gonna flash at you. But DOT was very strict about what they would allow on a state road.
Right.
Because our signs are capable of flashing too fast, slow down, and they said, no, I can't use it.
Oh, okay. They wouldn't allow it.
Well, you'd think if it shows a speed, you're gonna have people trying to set new records on it.
But you
Watch
can
it
start
coming
over.
down.
I have had people try to do that with our radar trail.
Yeah.
We've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah,
I think in the downtown area, that'd be kind of hard to do.
right.
But really what it is, you know, in the summertime, I think we talk about this a lot with safety, is the large majority of our population are not from this area. They're not familiar with driving these roads all the time. They don't know where the speed changes are, that live here and drive here every day. Sometimes they just need a reminder. Hey, you're not where you're normally from.
No, I'm okay.
You know, and here's
I'm glad to see it by Back Bay Bridge. I think that's
Well,
a great
that's-
spot for it.
It's very important, and there's specific areas that really warrant it. But I do have a question. How did we get from a couple to, 12 different devices? I don't recall going through and every specific place that was gonna be placed.
What we did, the warrant article that was.
The warrant article,
Listed 12.
it listed 12, but I don't remember discussing all the 12 areas.
It was just the way we labeled it was the crosswalks, in the Bay and, Village area.
Mhm.
But
Because this is more specific.
this is more specific and this is for discussion. This
Mhm.
wasn't, these
Okay.
are not nailed in stone. You know, this was, and I can go, that was the next part of the discussion was, where the location of these devices go once we purchase them, because what ends up happening is, as you can see, the purchase amount is less than the warrant article, but I have to present, we found out the hard way with the other one. The reason you haven't seen the donated ones
Yeah.
is one, the shoreline permit, shoreline protection permits I need
Yep.
for every single one in the bay.
Yep.
And, they're requiring a site plan for every single location.
Really?
So I have, Paul Zyko involved, plotting and doing site plans for me, trying to get
Mhm.
everything together, but, it's, needless to say, we ended up kind of pulling back on the first one because of shoreline protection. When we realized we needed it for every single one, we can do them as one permit by notification.
Right.
So we're gonna include all of them around the Bay Area that was in that
Good
250
idea.
foot range in one permit. So,
Cindy Belsius working on the permit?
not right now, no, Zuzko was city can do the permit.
Okay.
By notification. He was the one that did the original site plan for us for that one. And I thought that was gonna be it. You know, it was short money, a quick site plan, and then DOT came back and,
Not that easy.
there was about 11 more things on the punch list that they want us to go through, and then the permit came up, so.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it's gonna be a project. It's gonna take me all year probably to get everything done. But, we will get it done. So for the locations, so I'll go through, I think they're pretty self-explanatory, where the locations are. So starting in the bay. So the very first location that we got donated to us was the back crosswalk that goes to the dock by the police dock and the fire dock.
Yep.
Okay, so those are already taken
Where all
care
the
of.
kids cross.
And those I already have, they're in my Sally Port waiting to get installed. So moving up from there in the Bay Area, there are, the crosswalk at Pop's Clam Show, the crosswalk at Alton Bay Conference Center, and, then the one at the bathhouses. All those actually have crosswalk signs now.
Yes.
They're just not the push button flash beacon ones. So our proposal on our site plan is going to be to replace those with the flash button. So we're not gonna have any more signs. So if people ask, oh, is this gonna be just a runway of signs and sign pollution? We're actually replacing the existing signs there with the same sign. It just has a nicer base. It actually looks like a black, lamppost, and a push button.
And a push button on it.
And then going into Busy Corner, so Busy Corner has the crosswalk that goes diagonally now.
Right.
So now, again, just keep in mind that this is for discussion with you guys and recommendation, but DOT is gonna have the final say.
Right.
And it's iffy, because one of the biggest things that DOT wants is they want a 200-foot line of sight, both directional. So having it at the corner and the diagonal, it would be really important to have one in that corner, because when people dart out in front of that road, it's usually hairy right there.
Put it at the end of the mountain road.
What's that?
Put it at the end of the mountain, Grand Hill Road.
Yeah, well, I was gonna put one at the end, of Mountain Road, the diagonal, and then see if I can get one far enough out without tractor trailers hitting it going around the corner. Because, you know, they have that lined off area where, you used to have the overhang over there, and they got clips up there.
Yes, it did.
If I can get the sign out close enough from there, I can probably get the 200 feet on either side of that corner. But again, DOT is gonna have final say in that, as to whether or not I may have to move that one. So, but that was the recommendation. The other two crosswalks we skipped over the one at Irwin Marine. One, I can't get the line of sight. It's too close to that corner.
Oh, okay.
And Parker Marine, I really, to be honest with you, I wasn't gonna get into the battle of servicing, or.
One or the other.
Mainly to goes to a business.
Right.
Because then if I do it for one, the big argument's
Gonna be, why don't we have one?
Yeah. And I can't do the one in front of Irvin because of line of sight. I could get the one in front of Parker's, but then we're gonna have signs, two signs there, and two signs there in front of Dockside.
You're kind of doing that with Pops, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way.
Really, Pops.
Well, Pop should go. The only issue with that is that what's on the other side of it.
Community center.
Is you've got the community center, you got town property, you got the town bay. And that was the only way I looked at that that services both of our town property on the other
The only
side.
problem is Pops, that crosswalk goes into a parking lot. It doesn't go into a sidewalk.
No, I think they moved that.
I think it does,
It goes between the two buildings now.
I
used to go
think
right
it
up to
does.
the window, but when DOT
Right by the catch basin.
Right, yeah, it's between the two buildings now, but they put handicap access in it.
I think it is between the two buildings now, I think it is.
But again, this is something that we can look at and talk about.
I just, with all the ones you got there, I just see this bling, bling, bling.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Because the location, we never really discussed.
And I feel as though Ruben's right, if you're putting it in front of Pops, because that crosswalk only goes one spot. Then you're doing it for a business, not.
You got a suggestion or an idea for you folks? The only reason I'm putting this out right now is because it takes, as you know, I got a lot of planning to go.
Yeah.
Of course.
So why don't we just take this issue and table it, and you guys take these locations in your mind, and we'll look at them over the next week or so, and then we can get back together and come up with an idea, because this is not time pressing for me. Other than the fact that it's gonna take me 2 or 3 months to get them, but it's gonna take me 2 or 3 months to get the permitting stuff resolved
Of course.
anyway, so.
So can we make a motion to let him buy them, but we'll split the motion
He's
to,
already
Yes.
finished to buy it, that went through with the warrant article.
But I do need, because it's such a large amount, I
Right.
do need
Yes.
board approval to expend, so.
But not to place
But
yet.
not to place yet.
Not to place, but to
How long
expend.
will it take you to get them?
They told me it was this size of an order, one, they were talking about maybe possibly staggering them, so that they came differently, but if I did them all together, they were talking about, close to 3 months. So, it could be a little bit sooner, could be a little bit later, but, it was, before, we were looking at a 2 to 3 week window, that went up to like a 12 to 14 week window.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get your permits before they all
Right.
start piling up.
Right.
Do you need the exact locations for the permits? Or do you just need the permits right now as far as,
So I need to know,
All
I
twice,
need to have,
12.
I need the location in the next few weeks for the permit.
Okay.
Because the aerial stuff, when I met, I did meet with Zuzgo on site, not too long ago, about a week ago, and he's got a drone that he can fly the area with now.
Yep.
Around the Bay Area, and that's his plan, is he's gonna fly the entire Bay Area, so that, and he's gonna plot the existing crosswalk signs too. Because when we were walking, the best idea was to replace those signs in kind, so that we're not littering the rest of the area with more signage.
You mentioned that to me, yeah.
So, but I don't, like I said, this is the first time you guys are seeing exact location.
Yes,
And with the discussion, I think it's better if you go out and actually look at the area
Yep.
yourself.
I think that's,
Because one of the other things is, of course, I know Village Pizza crosswalk gets a lot of activity.
yes, it does.
But we didn't see any way, and Zuzgo was with me again, we were driving the length. We couldn't figure out any way to get the line of sight on that bow on the inner side.
Mhm.
You definitely get it by the old Union Telephone. don't
Yes,
you? Yeah.
but not the other.
But the other side, and then you got the drive right there where they try to back the truck in for deliveries.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any way we could actually meet DOT's restrictions on that.
Well, that wouldn't be
That's
bad,
the only reason why it's not on here.
Okay.
that wouldn't be bad down there if we'd moved the parking spaces back away from the crosswalk a little bit more, so you could see the people out there, because the problem is they get behind the car right there, you can't see them.
And unfortunately, that's one of the worst places.
It is. No,
Especially at night.
Very bad.
But maybe we can figure out a way to make it happen. I didn't discount it because I didn't want to do it, it was just
Right.
we have to be able to make, I wasn't as in tune with DOT's regulations till they kicked back this last request.
Right.
And then I started realizing what they were really gonna be looking for. Based on that, that was really where we were going with it. Other than that, I think Main Street's pretty, it's Town Hall, School Street, the library,
Mhm.
that's all pretty basic. And we did throw in the East Side restrooms, again, that's gonna be iffy. There's 2 crosswalks there.
Mhm.
The one closest to the curb, there's no way.
No,
You
no,
can't have a
no,
sight on that
no,
one.
you can't.
Honestly, in my recommendation, that should be taken out. There's no way there should be a crosswalk. on
It should be.
the right.
No, 'cause
Yeah,
It
there should be that main crosswalk, the one that goes from the restrooms to the beach. That's the one, when I say east side restrooms, that's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So-
Yeah, no, definitely. One of them should be removed.
But,
all right.
Is that something that the board would like me to notify DOT about for the next time they do painting or paving? To not paint that crosswalk there?
Repaint the crosswalk.
What?
Repaint the crosswalk.
Oh,
That's one of the contracted crosswalks that we have.
That's kind of like the crosswalk going to Harmony Park.
yeah, but it's right by.
And but it's, oh, yeah, you can't see. I don't know, that's dangerous to use that one. You're taking your life in your hands going across.
Summertime, you sit down there when I'm in the Bay Area, you watch them.
Oh, I watch it. I see it all. I've seen motorcycles come around the corner, and not just motorcycle cars come flying around that corner, somebody running across the street
Right.
all the time. Yep.
All right, that's not good.
Thank you, chief.
We'll table it.
But we can still give him,
permission to buy the devices.
so
Yes.
that part, we just table the locations.
Let me find it so I can give them the right amount.
$100,650, is that the?
It's 95, 765.
95, 765. $95,765.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Rob? Ruben?
Yes.
Bob? Virgil, yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
If, is there anything else that you'd like me to stay for on this agenda, or that you can think of? I'm happy to stay if you need me, if not, all my items.
Thank you.
You're all set?
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, Ryan. Next is the Suncook Valley Solar, 356 Suncook Valley Road, Route 28. Appointment request.
Yes.
Okay, so this, company came before you previously, about a year and a half ago, regarding a pilot agreement for a solar array that's going to be installed on Mr. Hussey's property at 356 Suncook Valley Road. So because of the state of emergency and everything and changes in financing companies and whatnot, everything's been resolved. The pilot, you have it in your binder, it's been reviewed by legal counsel, it's okay to sign. A regular pilot agreement.
So nothing's changed.
Nothing has changed as far as the pilot agreement is for the property. That would be a stream of revenue to the town. A pilot is payment in lieu of tax.
Right. I remember that. I was just asking if there's anything else that has changed due to the pandemic or because of the time lapse that's gone.
Not that I'm aware of. And Mr. Alan Funk is attending remotely. He could answer any other questions that you may have if you'd like, but this is a pretty routine pilot agreement.
Okay. $20.
Okay, shall we give them the 10 minutes?
You already gave the 10 minutes back in 2019 version.
Right.
You're just looking for
Oh, that's
authorization.
Just looking at, exactly.
Approval for the pilot.
I need a motion.
Did we have some concerns last year?
Sure what.
The one you were talking about with concerns is at the solid waste.
At the solid waste.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yes.
No.
Motion that we approve the
Request.
Blue Planet Funding LLC pilot contract.
I'll second.
Bob?
Yes.
Robin?
No, Dean didn't ask for discussion, I'll say yes.
Brock?
I'm gonna go with the board on this one, because I don't really know what I'm even looking at here. So, yes.
Yes.
Virgil, yes. Would you like to discuss?
One thing I don't like is just that these companies are coming in towns, getting with some of these big landowners, and they're getting special taxing because of this program. They have to enter into a program with the town of Alton to get those special taxes. And I just don't agree with it, because they're making revenue off of it, and the town is subsidizing certain parts because they don't send kids to schools, they don't impact the community, but there is still some impact to the community, because it still falls back onto the taxpayers, to the residents. So I'm not totally 100% in favor of it, but it is allowed, so I will vote for it.
Well, it's back on the taxpayers, but we're also making more tax revenue out of that piece of property.
But you're not making off the value off the land, what the land could sell for in the beginning, until it comes out of current land use.
So once, if I may speak, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, so the pilot agreement is for taxation of the equipment only. The property owner still has to pay taxes on the land, and once that solar array is, put in, that land comes out of current, the property owner will be taxed at regular taxation for the land.
That makes
So what the value of the land will be with the solar panel sitting on it?
Does it get reevaluated?
For that technical.
Reassessed?
Can't tax it twice, so it's only getting taxed on the land itself at full value.
Yeah, the parcel of property.
But if someone goes to sell that land, with the solar onto it, that increases the value of the land because of the lease that will be combined for 20 years.
There is something in the agreement if the owner of the actual equipment, because it's a separate owner
Right.
for the equipment versus the land. If the owner of the equipment, it may sell to someone else who wants to own the equipment if they wish.
I voted for it, so it being passed, it has a majority, I just want to throw my 2 cents worth in.
Should we ask him?
We can ask.
He's right.
He's right here.
Question?
Let's ask him.
Yeah.
Mr. Funk?
Mr. Funk? Good
Yes,
evening.
sir. Good evening.
Do you have any questions?
I stated my questions, he heard it, or my statement. I mean, there's a reason why investors out of New York City get involved in this and put them in small communities, they're making money off of it. But yet we subsidize, all we're doing is taxing on the equipment only, not the revenues it's producing. So,
Right, because we don't own the land. If we owned the land, we would, like up at the solid waste.
land comes out of current land use, gets taxed at the full rate, but not with what it's producing for revenue too. So that increases the value even more. Well, I understand it, but tell me why all out-of-state investors are doing this in your smaller communities. You don't see your in-state investors doing it. Business. Your big city businesses are doing it. That's just my thing. I have a problem with big business.
Let me try and speak to a couple of those points. That the purpose of the pilot, as much as anything, is to levelize or to make it the same over a period of time. So these are financed, and the financing typically comes out of big cities, admittedly, where the banks are. And they want to see a steady revenue stream. They want to see a steady expense stream. And the expense stream is driven by a number of things. Maintenance usually isn't a great expense in these projects, but cost of property taxes could be. And a typical depreciating asset, because these things wear out after 25 or 30 years, you'd pay a lot of taxes in the first couple of years and you wouldn't pay very much at the end. So the purpose of the pilot is to sort of levelize that over, in this case, 20 years and say, look, it's going to be more or less a constant dollar. And the advantage of that is that you as the community get a pretty constant stream, essentially a constant stream of property tax payments, and the investor or bank that's lending the money is going to see a pretty constant expense. So it's as much about predictability as about cutting some kind of deal. And as to why we come to small towns, it's because that's where the land is. If there was land available at reasonable prices in Manchester, we would build, in Concord or Manchester, but we end up going to places where land is a little more reasonable. Land is a serious expense, as the lease on this to Dave and Nancy is considerable, and if we can't find a reasonable rent, we go someplace else. So if, for instance, in other states, we can be hundreds of miles from a metropolitan center just to find a really reasonable piece of land, then we have to use transmission lines in order to send that power to the city. So I wish we could build closer, but it's kind of the fact of life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Funk.
Welcome.
I want to ask Bob, fire building well.
Yes, I was just wondering, I got a copy of the proposal for the bidding. I believe it went out to bid May 14th. Did we receive any bids?
I don't know.
It says it must be received no later than May 14th.
Just, at the end of last week. So I'm not sure when the bid opening was
Does it
set
say
for.
when we're
I don't
opening
know.
them?
Yeah, it says proposals must be received no later than the 14th with an opening date to be determined. So, all right, and my other concern was, I went over these bid specs, and I don't know how anybody can bid on putting a well in with the bid specs. And I am not a well installer by any stretch of the imagination. But when you start locating well location, that's no problem. Cost per foot to drill. Okay, that sounds good.
Yes.
How about cost per foot for casing? That's not there. Minimum half horsepower pump. Well, how do you bid on that? You don't know how deep the well's gonna be.
3/4 anyways.
Well,
Usually the cost per foot is usually including the case.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, you
Okay.
go cost per foot and then so much for casing, because you don't put casing all the way. Okay? And, replacement of pressure switch, well, that's part of it. Well, replacement of the tank, what size tank? I just read these over, I don't know how you can get a good bid. I mean, if I was a well company, I'd say, because if you go 100-foot well, 200-foot, 300-foot, 400-foot.
Well, that's why they go,
So much per foot.
that's why it's so much per foot. And I mean, I've never seen it with casing on it.
And it says minimum half horsepower motor. So the guy puts in a 400-foot well and bids a half horsepower motor. I mean, what you have to do is, I called up Capital Well and talked to a gentleman here, and he said, what you should do is go out to bid, cost per foot to drill, cost per foot for the casing, right? Get the well in. He says, if you're gonna go bid this now, and then once the well's in, now you can develop the specs for the pump, the size of the tank, the size of the pump, and the wiring and the plumbing. But, I just don't know how we can get a good, that's why I was asking for the status of it. I'd like to see what came in.
I'm sure that it'll all be brought before the board once they open the bids.
Okay.
The recommendations.
Okay, under new business, Highway Department proclamation, National Public Works Week.
The public works director will be intended to comment on the Whitney Library discussion.
Chairman, I make a motion to sign the proclamation, National Public Works Week.
I'll second that. Yep.
Yes, Bob?
Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Brock?
Yep.
Paul? Virgil, yes.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good thing.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Oh, hi,
Thank
Scott.
you, Scott.
How you doing, Scott?
Good, good. Sorry, I stepped away just for a minute.
No, I think that's a good thing to congratulate the people for job well done.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It's great. Thank you very much for doing that. We'll get that posted on our new Facebook page, and our food drive's going real well. Started off today,
good.
so that's great.
Beautiful.
Very good.
All right, next is Highway Department recommendation, congressional directed grants.
Chairman, may I speak to this?
Yes,
So,
yes, you may.
you remember I brought to you a week or two ago, about possible federal funding. They're going, the congressman, or, I don't remember if she's gone, anyways, Jean Shaheen.
Senator.
Right, proposed some bills to be voted on for possible federal funding for municipalities for various uses.
Yeah.
And it went out to the department heads, and in your binders, you have a couple of responses. One is from the Public Works Director on a few things, and another one from the waterworks superintendent. on the And we wanted to look at them and we wanted to apply for all or some or.
This is exactly what we talked about in going out to these. Yep.
Yeah, but I think it should be reworded sort of concrete precast on that other side of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess
True.
my question to all of you is, are you okay with all of these proposals from the department heads to apply for them, should the bill?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Do the best you can, yeah.
Add more.
Definitely.
Yes, but
You're only
the,
gonna get half of what you asked for. You might as well go for the gusto.
right, exactly. I mean, the worst case scenario is that the funding doesn't get approved or it's voted down.
Or only a portion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't know, you may only be a portion of it, so put it all in.
Sure.
okay,
Need to redo everything because it's falling apart.
okay. So we'll take care of that and get that submitted to Jean Shaheen's office.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next one's Water Department recommendation, congressionals.
That was the same.
Same thing.
Yes.
All the same one, all right. All right,
Thank you.
so we'll move on to Selectmen's reports. Thank you,
Thank you.
Scott.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Scott.
Scott.
Take care.
And Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
Thanks, Courtney.
Courtney, yep, I didn't see her. If she's there.
All right, Bob. Ruben?
All set.
Bob?
I'm good.
Paul?
Good.
Ruben's all set. Administration report. Oh, we got, yeah, administrative report.
Okay.
Selectmen reports.
So I would ask the board's permission if the chairman of the Conservation Commission could come up to the table to discuss with you the two properties on Route 11 that were discussed at the previous meeting. He has an update for you.
This is my commission. Everybody agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have, Mr. Rhodes.
Yep.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Dana Rhodes. I'm a member of the Conservation Commission since last October. We got involved with this purchase of property on Route 11 to try to conserve the property, and the plan was to build kayak canoe access for the public. And I realized that Gene was here before, trying to solicit your okay to apply for a grant and to cut a check for purchase on property. So at this point, the seller has denied our offer, and it's off the table at this point. So that's the only reason we're here, is to tell you that it's no longer in play.
What was the difference between the offer and the, and what?
So the seller wanted full price. We offered $250,000, seller wanted $277,000. The seller also did not agree to have an appraisal done, which is something you have to have done.
Yeah.
And the closing date that we requested, which would be after the grant money is received next March, was too far out for their liking, so the whole thing
So
is killed. Essentially, that's the end of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Sorry you had to wait so long here tonight.
Mr. Chairman, the next item on PA report, I would ask the board approval to allow our Public Works Director to be in attendance remotely to speak, and also Brad Jones. The subject matter is High Point Drive, and you approved accepting that road with a couple of conditions. And one had to do with the mailboxes and one had to do with the filler or something.
Correct.
And that has been done, but I would like the Public Works Director to just very briefly comment on that. And then if you have any questions about anything other than that, if you're fine with it, you've already approved it, and if we can just move forward with that.
Board agree with having them?
Yes.
step in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Bob?
Yeah.
Hey? Bob?
Here he is. Very good.
Scott, did you go up and look at High Point?
Yes, I did, Mr. Chairman. I did get a chance to go up there last week, and I've been in contact with Mr. Jones prior to, and also Ken Roberts had actually taken me up there during my orientation period and had advised what the board had recommended. When I was up there the other day, the crack sealing crew was in fact on site. I got to observe them in their crack sealing, and they were following all the best management practices relative to the crack sealing that I could see up there. They were blowing everything out and crack sealing it, and it looked like they were doing a good job up there. And also all the mailboxes have in fact been put in and installed for each residential driveway. And as Mr. Jones indicated, once the road has been recorded and there's a letter from the town saying it is a town road, the post office will start rural route delivery for the individual residences up there, and he'll remove the mailboxes from Alton Mountain Road.
Very good.
Would have any other questions?
Nope.
Having none.
Do we have to vote? I think we already voted on it.
We already voted to
Yeah.
accept the conditions were met.
Yep,
We don't-
they've met the conditions, so that's what we put on.
This is information.
Very good.
Brad, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate everything. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Yeah. Good night.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the board for this next item on my list to allow the Public Works Director and the Parks and Rec Superintendent to speak. This is in regards to a vehicle purchase for the Grounds and Maintenance Department, and you have a document at your seat that was put out. It's a revised memo. And the reason that it's not on the agenda is because the dealership, as with many dealerships, they will give you like 7 days and then just say 7 days or it's going to somebody else. So there was some urgency to this.
But did we get 3 bids?
I will let the Parks and Rec Director speak to
Okay.
that.
Is the floor open, Mr. Chairman? Is the floor open?
And we're waiting for Kelly to get on.
Well, I can ask Scott something, can I?
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, Scott?
Yes, go right ahead.
There he is.
So what you're recommending is going to McFarland Ford, correct? For 59,527? Is this a dually
That's-
one-ton dump truck?
That's correct. Yep.
I don't like
That's
the
a,
gas.
Don't you think that's a lot of truck for that department?
well, there's no doubt. I think any facilities and grounds department would in fact operate at least one of those type of trucks in a 1-ton fashion versus a 550. My previous life, I really didn't. I only had one of these types of trucks, and that was assigned to facilities and grounds, just because it made it easier for them to actually do what they needed to do. For an example, mowing operations, and you bag, generally in the springtime, you would bag all your clippings, and you need a vehicle to be able to put those in and then go ahead and haul them away. It saves you from having to have the dump trailer or another trailer, because you're already going to have a trailer for your mowers and such. So it kind of helps consolidate the operations. And generally, you don't need something that heavy that you're going to be hauling a lot of payload. You're basically hauling grass clippings and leaves and those types of things. So I would support the 1-ton type vehicle for that operation.
I guess what I should say, I didn't realize our Parks and Rec Department bagged grass because they didn't today. But two is, It just seems like it's an awful lot of truck for, and I don't know how to put this in the nicest way. For the staff that we have down there. I think it's too much truck for them. They should be staying at a pickup level. They already have one dump truck down there that's single wheel. I understand the dually, Scott, and I understand the reason behind it. I just think it's too much truck for the staff that's there.
I'm also not big on the 624 gas.
But I appreciate your work on it. I really do, and I appreciate Kelly's work on it. But I think it's too much truck for the staff that's there.
Personally myself, I can't speak to staff and I wouldn't want to speak to it in public session anyways, but.
Nor should I.
In regards to that, and I can tell you that, and I would agree with Brock, I mean, I would much rather keep the fleet standardized and keep them all diesels, if in fact we're gonna run diesel trucks. That's how I used to run things as well, but as we all know that, those do come with them at a pretty good cost. As you can see right now, the markup on a diesel truck is about $13,000. And if I was going to buy a diesel truck, to be perfectly honest with you, I wouldn't buy a 1-ton diesel truck. I would probably buy a 550 diesel truck because I'd want to try to do more with it and try to make it more versatile as well in some ways. But I do think that having a dump body truck was in that operation of facilities and grounds is a good piece of equipment to have, just because of the aspects of bagging grass.
I'm sorry, Scott, if we went with the diesel with that, is that something that you could use down on your end when they weren't using it in the wintertime? I mean, as far as hauling trash or whatever it is, I guess they're gonna do with it? Is that, if we did go with a diesel 1-ton, is that something that you would be able to use at your department or throughout other departments?
Well, I mean, I think that they would be using it in conjunction with the work that they do, from what I understand so far, relative to parking lots, plowing. This would still be used in that type of an operation. So I would still, have that vehicle be used for that type of a operation as well.
Parking lots that we plow?
Road. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a question on the money end of it. Our police department just bought a pickup truck. They ordered it. They didn't buy a lot truck. They ordered it at a heck of a savings compared to a lot truck. Because you get municipal discounts. Ford Motor Company, Chevrolet, Chrysler gives municipal discounts on ordered vehicles. And you order it with what you want. Size and everything else. Color, you name it. You get what you want. Now you're looking at lot trucks. And right now, they're at a premium.
Yes, they are.
Prices.
Yes, they are.
They're at a premium.
Right.
And even a municipality. See, the dealer can't get the municipality discount through the manufacturer on a lot truck compared to ordering the truck.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Scott.
Just so to correct the situation, I know the town administrator indicated, that this is in fact a lot truck. But it is a truck which actually is under the specifications which were set forth in the bid proposal which was put together. So it does have the equipment which had been specified. And it just happened to be that because Dodge, in fact, was initially the bidder for these types of trucks, they only allowed for about a 10-day window to order the trucks. And then, so the default to that bid went to Ford, and it went to McFarland Ford. So we are receiving all the discounts along with this that you would receive for a Ford fleet vehicle. Very similar to when you have been buying your Dodge vehicle under a fleet purchase, but this is under the state bid concessions, which were given just as in the same situation. They happened to buy extra of these vehicles. So they have two of them down there that are virtually identical in both gas-powered vehicles.
Well, I see the need for a dump truck.
Well, I already got myself in trouble, so.
I know.
Well,
But I agree, I'd rather see.
I didn't say anything bad.
Rack body dump or something.
Yeah, just a rack body is, or
Or
a
versatile.
standard body.
That's what they have now.
I know.
They have a rack body, but they use now on a single wheel because they really don't need to be hauling anything that heavy.
I don't see the need. I don't see the need for a dump F-350 gas or diesel. I mean, at this point.
I agree, I just think if we're gonna buy a truck, we don't buy a gas truck, because they don't last. So, either way, you know what?
Yeah, I mean, I see your
And they
point.
don't have the, I mean, my truck is a 6.2 out there and I hate it. It has no power.
Yeah.
You put a dump truck in, a dump body in the back of it with something in it.
Oh, yeah.
Give that one to Parks and Rec, go buy one.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Same way about
Cali?
It's got,
Yeah,
Callie, do you
and
have
I
any-
agree with
do
you,
you
but
have
I mean,
anything
the fleet
to add?
should be,
you get up to 250s, 350s, you should be diesel.
yeah, there should be diesel.
Callie,
Yes,
do you have anything to add?
I would like to have a few comments, please. This truck was sent out to bid, and it was sent to 5 vendors, and the bids were approved by the selectmen. They were due May 6th. Only one bid came in from Irwin Automotive Group, and that was the delay that we were talking about, the 8-month delay. So Public Works Director did the research and found the state bid price for a truck that was in stock without the delay. And the F-350 was something that was, I thought, pre-approved by the selectmen. It was a dump body. It would be used for bark mulch, loam, sand, gravel, trees, brush, other materials. We're just trying to be more efficient. It's replacing a 350 that we already have that's 12 years old with over 115,000 miles, hard miles. So whatever your decision is, we'd be happy to do. This was just what was brought forward after the 3 years through the Capital Reserve Fund saving up for this truck. Were you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Callie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you have enough funds in your capital reserve?
Yes, there's approximately $60,669 in the Capital Reserve Fund.
Mm-hmm.
And the price with the price was $59,527, and that's the truck as bid plus the extra items that we wanted, which included the extended warranty, the 7-year, 75,000-mile warranty. That included that price for $3,500 plus the fenders and toolboxes.
What do you average a year on mileage on those trucks that you have now?
Well, it depends on the truck and how often we've had it. So it's 115,700 miles divided by 12, 13 years. So that would be our average, 6,000 miles per year or so. But it's not, there's start, stop. 1 mile, we're driving 3 miles, we're turning it off. So it's not like, to compare it to a highway vehicle is slightly different. Plowing, that the intention is to plow with this vehicle. And it's replacing a vehicle we already have, which is a 2008.
Mr. Chairman, I got Scott first. Question for Scott.
Yes, go ahead, Robert.
Scott, the poly rear fenders and the toolboxes, are they to be installed by McFarland or by the town mechanic?
That'll be installed by McFarland Ford.
Okay, so you could possibly save close to 40 to 50% on that if you had the town mechanic do it, correct? Instead of paying top dollar at a Ford dealership?
Yeah, I think the poly fenders, I think that is actually fairly close to what we would pay for the poly fenders. I'd have to double check with Warren on that, but clearly the toolboxes we could buy I believe, in my opinion, I think we could buy those at, a lower cost. The reason why I put those in is based on trying to be inclusive of the actual bid itself, so you knew exactly what that was.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The poly fenders and the toolboxes would also have to be painted. I believe the installed price is painted.
The poly fenders are,
I think for that price, they're aluminum.
The poly fenders are poly. They don't.
Yeah, the poly fenders are poly. When you buy them, they're usually the same color as the truck.
Not always. Sometimes they're not.
They're black.
They're just
Poly
black.
fenders are just black.
They're not painted.
They're painted. You paint them. Well, okay.
Don't have to be, in other words. They don't have to be.
The
poly ones don't have to.
Said they're aluminum boxes. I don't see anything about
For that
aluminum.
price, they ought to be aluminum boxes.
I don't,
Yeah, they should.
I don't know about what the toolboxes are painted of, but I know poly rear fenders are poly rear fenders.
Right.
You can't paint poly.
yes, you can.
right.
You can't, it's an option. It doesn't have to be painted.
Okay, whatever. I got poly fenders in my truck. I mean,
Yeah. I just had this conversation with Western Auto Body, and they suggested don't paint them.
Any more questions? Board's wishes.
Know what we have for the trucks now. I still fail to see, I understand she's talking about, Kelly is talking about the, picking up mulch, bark mulch, or anything like that to have the dump body. Is it something that often they use? Or is it that often that they need to have a dump body?
Charlie?
Also, we picked up a lot of trash, and I think putting the trash into the truck and then pulling up and dumping it into the hopper would save time and also be more safe than people carrying and lifting up heavy bags over that rail.
But you already do that now with the truck you have, don't you?
Right. I'm just talking about future efficiency. If that's a way that we could use the dump truck.
But I know, but you got a dump truck. But you got a dump truck now that you do that with, correct?
We have a dump truck now. Yes, we do. But we're also babying it along, and this is to replace that truck. We'll keep it until it's not able to be inspected, and it's going to be earmarked for our seasonal person once they're hired.
As
And it's not to be
115,000 miles, you're worried about inspection already with that? Are we maintaining this?
We're maintaining it. There's inner rockers that need to be repaired due to the rot. The brake lines will need to be replaced in the near future. So there's some things that the dump body actually is not working right now. So it's not something.
Has Warren looked at it?
Yes, Warren has looked at it, and he has given a report of the items that need to be fixed. He worked to put the bid specs together and help determine what we needed to get our jobs completed.
Where would be that report? Did you send it out
It
here?
was something that, no, I asked him if he could please share with me things that would need to be fixed so that I was prepared for our meeting. So it was like 4 items that he wrote, plus the items I already knew about with my staff. It's not an official report, it's an email.
Okay, yeah.
No.
There's 2 other items I didn't say. It was there's new wheel bearings on the driver's side. And then the dump hinge needs to be repaired.
Okay.
That's all pretty much minor stuff, though, really.
I think we're gonna buy one.
We're gonna go that far and keep the fleet.
Well, she won't have enough in there to capital reserve for diesel.
No,
is it?
yeah,
She only got 60,000, I could add 13,000 on the 59.
Yep.
no, you don't. If you go out
Not put the
and order the truck, you'll get a better deal now. I'm telling you right now. Then you will,
Go back out to bid.
well, if you order them. See, we don't do that here. we usually buy lot trucks. And
Well,
I bought more trucks. And we ordered them. Every truck was ordered. It was a planned system. We're not buying trucks all of a sudden tonight because we need it tonight.
Right.
I've seen that happen here too often. And the police department, he went and ordered that truck. And you ask,
Yep,
he'll tell you, he can't believe the price he got it at.
I remember.
Well, you can negotiate, if somebody's allowed to negotiate a vehicle, you can get a lot better price than you can from a bid. I do it all the time. Instead of putting out, you go out and you say, this is what I'm gonna pay for that truck. And show me the trucks that I can get, that I want for my spec at this price. Because this is the number I can pay for that truck. By putting it out to bid, you get 3 bids and there's no negotiating. This is the price and that's it.
Yeah, but see, if you go out to spec bid a truck from the factory.
Yep.
You get a better.
Oh, absolutely. I will not disagree with you on that.
Through the municipality.
I won't disagree with you on that, but
I agree.
where are we gonna be in a year if you can't buy trucks now? Where do you think you're gonna be in a year? I don't know.
What's the board's wishes on it? So we can move on.
I just don't, I don't agree with buying gas trucks where.
Yeah, I can agree.
I'd like to see it diesel myself. If we're gonna go with this type of truck, a Ford F-350, dump, 4x4, it should be diesel.
I mean, we can ask Ruben, you've got one, you've got a dump with a gas, your Ford's a gas, isn't it?
It's a B10,
And it's
a dog.
would you recommend it?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, because as soon as that one's got the depreciation on it, it's gone.
Yeah. I have an F-350.
I couldn't justify.
I've got both.
It's a gas hog.
Yeah, for sure.
10 miles to the gallon.
Because of the depth fluid and the exhaust on it, I could not justify, because you're still gonna take that truck out and blow it out every now and then.
But the new ones don't burn off like the older ones do.
Yeah,
They don't, you don't have to, I mean, they still do, but it's not like it was in the older trucks.
All right, so what is the wish, to have it sent back out?
The only way you're gonna get a better price if you put it in for an order.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
You don't, or talk to the chief, see what he's got through his municipal program.
Yep.
Scott, did you hear that?
Yeah, just to understand, what the chief did, he bought that truck, I'm sure, right off a state bid. And because he bought a 3/4 ton F-250, which you can buy right off a state bid right now, if you can find one. Once again, they've got all these trucks all herded up someplace. And if you're gonna order anything right now, you have to wait and order it. Coming up, hopefully they're gonna open it up here in August for 2022 models. So I've talked to both Dodge, I've talked to Ford, and right now that's where we're at, which is fine. And I'm all for a diesel, don't get me wrong. If you're gonna work it, if you're just gonna drive it like you're gonna drive it as a car, then that's a different story. I agree with Brock. I agree with Ruben that if you're gonna work these things as a truck, and you're gonna push snow and you're gonna work hard and you're gonna tow a trailer, and the diesel is better to go, but you don't have enough money, I don't believe, in your coffers, it's gonna come up real close. On the capital reserve. Now, I'd have to talk to Warren whether or not he thinks he can, what it's going to cost to keep that rig running for another year. But
Scott, can we have you call this, whoever's got the diesel for the 66, and see if you can negotiate that price down to where, it's within her capital reserve price?
I did not, only because I didn't have the authority to do so. And
well, that's what I'm saying. Is that something that you think you could do if the board gave you the authority to do that, to call them up and say, this is what I got, can you make this work?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Work with Kelly.
Yeah, right, to work with Kelly I'm sorry, I apologize. Sorry, Kelly, I apologize for that, but to work with Kelly and see if we can get this
price
down.
down.
And I'll be honest with you, if you can buy an F-350 dump with that for $60,000, you did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. If the board would allow me to do that with Kelly, I would get right on the horn first thing tomorrow morning and see what I could do.
Don't necessarily have the toolboxes on it right now.
Right.
That could be, get more of a stripped model, something that's a little bit more affordable.
I make a motion that we allow, the Public Works Director and the, Rec Director to maybe look into this a little more and see if we can't get the price down on this to where it's affordable for the capital reserve.
Because it's close. It's close. It's close and it could be done.
$6,000 and dealerships like municipalities, when they go in, because they know that they're gonna get paid, the money's there, it's not a finance, they're just gonna pay for it, it's gonna be done. So they'd probably be more apt to work with it than they would if I was going in there to finance a truck.
All right,
I would second that motion.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Bob,
What's the motion?
have Scott and Kelly.
Okay, yeah, okay, go back.
Look into it.
Okay, yep.
See if we can get that price down.
Yeah, I'm opposed to the trucks, I'm opposed to this.
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
I'm a no.
So it's 3-2, it carries 3-2.
Yeah.
But they gotta come back for our approval.
Right, they gotta come back. They're
Yes,
just gonna
yes,
see it.
they're gonna have to come back.
And if you can, I mean, that just because it's $60,669, that doesn't mean if you can get it down lower than that.
Exactly.
You know,
You can get
that
it
just
below.
gives them the authority to go in there and negotiate back and forth with the dealer.
If you can get that down to 58, great.
Yeah, you
And
did.
have a few less
Exactly.
things on it.
Thank you, Scott and Kelly.
Thank you, Scott and Kelly.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
you.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
My next item has to do with the franchise agreement, the rep, to represent the Board of Selectmen at these monthly meetings.
I thought we made you the rep.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I thought we did.
No, you were supposed to think about it.
We did, we wanted to do it.
I would be happy to do it. I attend these meetings right now anyways, the pre-meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is, there's a special counsel conflict of interest waiver and representation agreement that will be put into the reading file, which has been reviewed by our legal counsel, and this is to move forward. There are many steps in this franchise agreement process. And the first conflict of interest waiver you already approved, because there were two attorneys from that firm. One Kate Miller for this, and then one for the ZBA or planning board. So this is a little bit different. It expands out a little bit, and our attorney advises it's totally fine for you to sign. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, so when you see it in the reading file, you know it's been brought up at the meeting, and you're good to go on that. The last item I have for open session has to do with annual training for the Board of Selectmen. I've checked with Attorney Sessler to see if he would be available before a regular meeting, maybe at 4:30 or 4:45. He needs about an hour. Would you be okay if I had him come in for one of the next meeting, in the next few weeks? Do you have any preference on which meeting, or does it not matter?
Yeah, could it be October?
I won't be able to attend the early Monday meetings after the 24th.
After the 24th.
24th, I can't attend anything before 6 o'clock, because there's only two of us on at that time.
But you can on the 24th. It's just after the 24th.
No, the 24th, I cannot.
Okay.
Right now, will only be two of us. My new schedule for all my employees start on the 23rd.
Okay.
So there'll only be two of us on, like tonight, there was only two of us on this afternoon from 3 to 5.
Okay.
So I will not be able to attend an early meeting on Monday nights.
So what about another night of the week? Maybe around 4:30, 4:45 for about an hour, and then that's it. A non-meeting night.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because all my help stays right on the 5 o'clock, Tuesday through Friday, so.
So that would be good for you. What
Maybe
about?
Tuesday to Friday, but don't make it Friday night, because it comes in my dream.
Yeah, Friday's a little.
When are you thinking? When are you thinking? I mean, I can do a Wednesday usually,
I'm thinking within the next couple of weeks, but I would have Stacy reach out to all of you to kind of coordinate it and come up with a set date.
It's usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I have other meetings, I mean, Tuesdays and Thursdays. But Wednesdays are usually, but I know we have one or two coming up that will be on a Wednesday, so.
Brock?
I can make it work, whatever we gotta do. But I do have a couple, like Paul, eventually we're gonna start having to have budget committee meetings here at some point, so.
Yeah, that's August.
We're gonna, I'm not sure when those are gonna be just yet, so.
It's usually on a Thursday, I think, but anyway, okay. Bob? Anything?
Let me know, as long as I know in advance.
Okay. Virgil?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
if I
right.
make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have for open session.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for open session. Now, minutes, May 3rd, 2021.
So move. Second.
Paul?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Virgil, yes. The non-public for May 3rd.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I recommend that the minutes be released. Item number 1 has already been discussed in session tonight.
And Joe.
And number 2,
I'm gonna make a motion to approve and release the non-public session minutes.
Second.
Sorry.
All right, Bob?
Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Rock?
Yep.
Paul?
Yes.
Virgil, yes. Okay, people, now we have to go into non-pub.
Don't you got the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Huh?
Consent agenda.
Missed that one too.
Mhm.
I get a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Paul?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Virgil, yes. Now we're going to non-pub. Thank you for tuning into our meeting, and we now will go into non-public session. Under RSA 91-A:3, comma 2, B, hiring. We can buy a big fan for it here.
I think
It's wicked hot in here.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Well,
She won't let
Brock.
I'll vote yes too, but I gotta go get a drink of water.
Mr. Chairman, the problem is you did not show the public that we went into non-public session by vote, just in case.
He hasn't gone up, I believe. Yeah. I'm waiting for a motion.
I make,
Motion to go into non-public session underneath RSA 91-A:3, and what was the letter?
B.
B for hiring.
waiting for Bob to get back.
Bob?
Yes.
Ruben?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Virgil, yes.
Was that, you seconded it this time?
1:2-A:3.
Okay, now wait for him to say you're in
Comment two.
open session, and then just, you've done that.
Yeah.
This is,
I move not to, you ready? I move not to divulge the non-public minutes because divulging of the information likely would render the purposed action ineffective.
Second.
this one and both A and B.
The only one under B though.
Right, but this is the.
Affect personally the reputation of any person other than a member of this board.
Second.
All right, Paul?
Yes.
Rob? Reuben?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Virgil, yes.
Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Paul?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.